Hello everyone, and welcome back to Fight Night Rising, brought to you by Wisdom. Had a bit of a holiday break, but now we are back at it again. I Booposaurus along with me as well to, dictate all the action here tonight. Boop, how's it going? How have you been in your holiday season?
Oh man, I've been sick. You know that.
True.
Up until like what, 3 days ago, I
Yeah,
think.
glad you're
So
feeling better.
yeah, I literally have been sick since last year. So I'm very happy to come because actually I'm peaking right now in terms of I think my health. We're getting it. I'm super excited to cast with Crowan again. It's been a little too long, so it's been outside of the sickness. It's been good.
Yeah, I know Thursdays without you, Boop, it just doesn't feel the same. But glad we get back into the routine. And speaking of routine, let's go ahead and jump to introduce the players that we have in this week's lobby. We have the previous winner, OEL Kuzma, joined by a common quail and a rat, who are both returning. Then we have a Tri-Fury B, Bosso Skills, Lumai Kev, or Lumi Kev probably, Danish Park, and Icy to round out the lobby. And Boop, wouldn't you know, this is a rat's 6th week in a row here on Fight Night. So definitely getting up there.
6 weeks, man. When was the last time I did anything for 6 weeks in a row other than lose LP and TFT? I don't know. But it's good to see. Consistency is key in this game, and any type of consistency to show the world is always going to make you look real good.
Yeah, definitely. I think out of those, well, this being the 6th week, I suppose, a rat has 3 victories on the week, and then just 2 other ones where they top 3'd, and now they're back again. So perhaps we can even get to rivaling, the gun maze and the Numanos in terms of, length here on Fight Night. But let's go ahead and check out what all these players are competing for. It's going to be our $200 prize pool. $100 goes to first place, second place gets 50. Third and fourth get $25 a piece. And Boop, we've had not a fight night in a while, but we've had some competition. There was the Challenger Series recently, and the meta is starting to, settle a little bit in terms of what people's comforts and preferences are. There's the AD Flex, where people are going to be playing their, Urgot, Yone, Jin, maybe some Sin Survival as well, but Arcanist, not really sure where those are going to pop up, but they could perhaps. But what are your thoughts and kind of what are you expecting to see here tonight?
You took it out of my mouth as Arcanist. So I was doing a tournament not too long ago, and I squeaked a 4th place with like a best in slot Arcanist comp. So I'm hoping to see, and I had 3 Arcanist buffs for my augment. So I'm hoping to see maybe a little bit more of what that can bring to the table. But like you said, I think we're going to see a little bit more AD. In terms of items, there's a lot of tiers and a lot of crit gloves there, and people are going to actually be okay with that.
Yeah, we see a rat actually grabbing Rod. So this could be a meta where if the majority of people go into these AD compositions, whether it be, those 4 costs or got Yone Jin, or whether it be Sins, it leaves Arcanist wide open to not be contested, and you're probably going to hit every single game. It even has a fine early to mid game as well if you pick up some Yordles, find a Vex, a Ziggs. That's already 2 Arcanists. You can farm some Econ, go fast 8. And you should just, on average, roll into the units. A rat already getting the components for a jeweled gauntlet. Needs some tiers, however, if he does want to go into Lux eventually, but this is not a bad opener. Even has 1 out of 3 Yordles as well with that Ziggs.
Yeah, the top end on Arcanist, I think, just doesn't reach the same heights as some other comps that you're going to see today. However, just like you said, I think the... Nice tier. I think that's a good pickup. The big thing that I kind of want to compare it to is when Vel'Koz was good in the last set, right? There was a point where I think Aphelios was meta with Jax, and then Vel'Koz was just free, along with someone else. And I think we had like an epic, like 1v1 Vel'Koz Jax or something like that at the end of the day, but no one was picking up that Vel'Koz, and so we got Vel'Koz 3 like a bunch of times. So that could potentially happen here with units like Lux and other Arcanist units that you might see.
It did happen like multiple games in a row, right?
Yep.
That Vel'Koz 3
on the same day.
That was crazy stuff. And that it could happen with Lux. You're super right. A rat here, as we kind of noted briefly, did grab a tier, so it's already halfway complete to perfect build for that Lux. Once a blue buff, Jewel Gauntlet, Infinity Edge, that is undisputedly best in slot. A rat's first augment options was kind of a snap pick onto the phony frontline. I believe there was Underdogs, and I'm actually not sure what the other one was, but between Underdogs, yeah, definitely good. Only getting 5 gold from the neutrals. Not the best, but, getting a Darius too is certainly a bit better for that front line.
Yeah, Darius 2 is, a little bit of value. I think he is appreciative of places like Costco and TJ Maxx in that sense, because, Darius is just one of those units that can appear a lot less tanky than he is, right?
Yeah.
If the units surround him the way that you need them to, it's part of the reason why he's a bodyguard, right? He can actually stay up for quite a bit. And this is
Oh, wow.
this is a very big front line here. So especially with the target dummies, and we're going to go ahead and put the Archangels on in the early game that actually will have a lot of value on someone like Zach.
Yeah, the Archangels is a great item. Zach is going to be alive for a long time. This board is really tanky. There's a funny front line to help tank, but it does now lock out 2 of the items needed for an Arcanist board. But a Rat by no means was committed to Arcanist with that Rod opener, right? So can go a lot of different directions. Archangels can fit onto units like Tom Kench or Kaisa that you really can just throw into a lot of different compositions. So we will check back in with that board later as we move over to Kuzma, who does have 2 out of 3 mercenaries with that mercenary heart. Just unfortunately has not found a Quinn, Misfortune, or Gangplank.
Classic
at least
mercenary
yet.
game.
Yeah, I know. 2 out of 3.
And
even selling to 10.
Yeah, it's like the worst when you have the Gangplank and the Quinn, and it's the Illaoi that you can't find.
Oh, I know.
You know,
so bad.
because you'll get it in an orb or something. You're like, I'll go mercenaries, and for some reason the game's like, that's a joke. But we're definitely going to be going the mercenary direction here. We already picked up that mercenary heart, so unless you want to dead augment, you got to go for it.
100%. Kuzma, at least if they don't roll into a mercenary next round, they will aggressively try to pick up a mercenary on the carousel. And because they're selling the units and making econ, they're probably going to be first pick. There's unlikely someone else will, tank a bit harder than that. Their items are fine as well. They're pretty generic, not really AP centric, but in an AD flex meta, great AD items with the bow, the cloak, and the glove.
Those can all be valuable items, but not very flexible, because once you commit to one of them, the other one is actually going to be a lot further away. So are we going to commit to something like a Last Whisper when it comes? Probably not on a mercenary board, but if we were playing something else, we might have seen a slam, but we still don't have our 3rd mercenary at this point. We're getting to the time is ticking period for getting it on the board. We still have a couple more rounds, but unfortunately we need the 2 and 3 cost unit, not the 1 and 2 cost unit in this situation.
Yeah, going up against Tri-Fury. Tri-Fury has the Quinn in the back line. A little bit, disappointed that Tri-Fury isn't using the Fury Horn Little Legend. I feel like that would be very topical. But,
also doesn't even need the Quinn.
It's
so
just in there. It's just chilling.
Which has got to be... That's like my favorite kind of trash talk, is when you don't have to talk, right? You're like, I have your unit. Because... There's no reason.
Honestly,
yeah.
I feel like it's say you're going up against a board and they have 6 Malzahars or something, and you don't have to sacrifice econ. There's Malz in your shop, and you just buy it and then put it in the middle of your little bench. So you make sure that you leave it out so they can see it. You just don't say anything. You just put it there.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, jeez. Yeah.
I ping it sometimes.
Oh. You go even that far.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah. The East Coast can't. I might live in Colorado now, but the East Coast hasn't left me completely. As we're moving over to Denish Park, and let's see what we're going to get on the carousel. Probably the most underrated little legend as well. When it comes to your choices. New little legends come in for the Lunar Festival, by the way, and they're literally all amazing. So definitely check them out. Yeah. When you get a chance. One of the Dowsies is a hot pot. Can you believe it?
Hot pot's so good.
I know, right?
Making me hungry.
Did you see that story of people bringing their own noodles to hot pot places?
Oh my god, I have not.
And I was like, that's mean, but kind of smart.
Yeah, I suppose so. Interesting. I think it's
I know.
Not allowed, but get around it one way or
Humans
another.
Humans are thrifty. That's what all sci-fi says, right? But yeah, now that we're going over here, we've got our 3 mutants now. The protector in the front is that Kassadin, and everyone else kind of weak. Well, that's a beefy board over on the other side for Lumi. Some good Ezreal items as well. One is scrapped, but one is going to be, like you said, a pretty flexible AD item, and that Rune's Hurricane.
Yeah, definitely. Hernane's great on multiple of these carries, and Lumi looks like it's going to have a strong enough board to deal with Danish Park, so not going to be 100 HP any longer. Was considering slamming GA there, it looked like, but didn't do it quite in time. Just put the Sword on the Malzahar and is one Malzahar away from Malz 2. Also important to note, on that carousel, Kuzma did pick up a Gangplank, so has been running 3 mercenaries since at least that last round. As now, Basso Skills is the only player who can potentially win streak into Krogs.
Okay, let's see what is going to be up next for Danish. Who are we going to go for? We're going to be going up against that beefy front line with those tanks. That Archangel Staff, again, I can't wait to see Zach's second ultimate because it's going to be good. But we're not going to get there because at this point in time, the tier 2 units are starting to show their power. It's going to be up to this Darius, but the Darius is already getting focused down by the Kog'Maw, which is only tier 1, doesn't get the ult off. So this should be easy peasy for Danish. 4-unit win there.
4-unit win, unfortunate. Not able to carry the win streak forward, and has actually found a Lux already on level 5. Blue buff already made, and perhaps it's a good thing that Danish didn't slam that GA earlier. Means that sword can now pivot into an Infinity Edge. We can get the Dual Gauntlet a bit later. Of course, want to prioritize the Dual Gauntlet. Lux, just the Infinity Edge isn't going to do much with her spells. But still a nice pickup. Just really needs to now focus on economy side of things and at least make up the 20 gold here.
And we hope that we get some gloves. Got 2 gloves, but they're on Vi's hands, unfortunately. On the bench. Ooh, we got the rod.
Nice.
Okay, that's one part if we want to commit to. Oh my goodness, that feels
just
good.
Hit.
Yeah, sometimes you just hit. Sometimes it just works out for you. I've noticed the more you chant the item of the name of the item that you need, the more likely it'll appear. That's my observations recently. As we move over to an Imperial comp, which before we left for our hiatus, we saw pretty much none of, but seems to be a pretty good opening right now. We'll see how long it kind of sticks around.
Yeah, I think the pivot potential was there for Syndicates, but the real decision maker is going to be that featherweight augment. It's going to really benefit the Talon. I would assume that Icy does reroll for a Talon 3 from this position. Swain 3 as well. Fantastic units, especially benefiting again from the featherweights where you're 1 and 2 cost units. Gonna move faster and have way more attack speed. And this is going to be good enough for the Talon 2 in the early mid game to start win streaking, or at least continue the win streak as Icy's looking to do here, and will be successful in.
All right, that's actually a great win here for Icy. Assassin's definitely showing up in this particular meta. It's kind of a comp that you can flex in any lobby with a top 4 potential every time, but it is going to be position oriented a lot of that time as well. And here's that Quinn that we saw a little earlier on, just flashing in for that challenger buff. But we got some enchanters on the board, and that definitely seems to be kind of the play. You put your main team in, you get some socialites on the board to help increase the power of your carry eventually. But right now, it's more like the movie carry for Tri-Fury as he's on a 3-game loss streak. I reached on that one. I'm sorry, everyone.
A little bit. It's okay. You would also reach that Blitzcrank, reached all the way across the board and grabbed the Quinn. So she is now in front of the Lux and is dodging the lasers so far. I don't think Quinn, however, is the best carry with these items. Honestly, it would be a lot better served to put those on the Misfortune. Could have started playing Mercs. The Alawi was in that shop. Gonna choose not to do so though, as we get our second augment choice. Pandora's, Thrill, solid options. The Knife's Edge isn't bad if we want to go something like a Fiora and Yone, which, okay, it looks like that's gonna be the exact pivot that we're looking for here from Tri-Fury.
The reason why I mentioned it is because we got 2 common augments in a row, so
yeah,
the augments aren't going to be as potentially impactful as some other games, for example, but on this particular board, Ascension and Knife's Edge actually work together really well. That's something that I think a lot of people sometimes overlook, is how certain augments correlate with each other, so you're just building stats upon stats with this combo here.
Yeah, I'm going to have more damage, just baseline, and then after 15 seconds, even more damage, right? 50% more. The only thing that I'm worried about is that you might lose some Ascension value if Tri-Fury does go that challenger route, which I think is likely, because challengers will oftentimes win fights really quickly, and Ascension doesn't really kick in until, again, 15 seconds in. So might lose a bit of value, but it will at least get value in some of the fights, I would imagine.
Yeah, now we've got the Bears on the board right now, and we'll see if those innovators are going to be able to take control. And it does seem likely Zillion, I think, got a little bit of help on a patch, not too, what feels like forever ago, and I think got a slow increase or something like that. But these innovators are producing a lot more damage than I think that can be assumed a lot of the time, especially the earlier we lock it in, right? It's one of those situations that if you lock in your 5 innovators, the earlier the better always, but the mid game is going to be a tad easier for you too as you stabilize. You might not win streak, but you will be able to kind of stabilize your HP with those 5 innovators.
Yeah, and the Zillion change was that his time bomb slow duration went from 3 to 4 seconds. I knew there was something, so when double checked it, you are indeed right. I even saw someone, I think it was Robin Songs on Ladder, go as far as to play reroll Zillion, and got some top 4s. I mean, yeah, you get like Shojin Rageblade AP item, you just like perma stunlock people. It's kind of like the set 1 or 2 Ash, where you just build like Shojins and she perma stuns people. It's kind of similar feel to that one.
Oh man, I loved Ash. Every time Ash is in the set, I main that comp. There's something that's just so like about that unit whenever it shows up. And we got an moderately early Shroud here. So we're going to keep that on the bench and start juggling that. But, you know, you've seen the memes online, you know, it's just going to make everyone have to work harder. And when you have to make more actions, there's possibility to make more mistakes. But we're going to go ahead and leave the Shroud on the board here and not utilize it right now.
Okay. Maybe thinks that they are strong enough anyway to win this fight, which looking at the fight, yeah, probably good identification there. It does get a little close with that Swain maybe going down, but still, you know, full HP Zyra, full HP TF with GA in the backline. Didn't need to slam the Shroud, though, if you're not going to use it. I do think at this point in the game, if you do want to protect your win streak, something that Shroud is a very fine use of those item components.
Shroud is such a good item. I think it's probably been the most consistently high win rate item in TFT since
for sure.
The effect was changed into this. Or was it a new item into whatever the Shroud was? But that was a long time ago. You know,
I actually don't remember.
You know, but the Shroud now is going to see. We're going to think about it this time. We know that we're getting into moments where people are going to be level 7. That's a great Shroud. That's why you have a Taric in the middle of nowhere there. It's for that exact reason. And it's also going to take 2 of the tanks away from the front line. And look at the opening that Taric's positioning provides. Not only was it a good Shroud, it did kind of taunt that front line and gave that Swain openings into the back line. That's perfect team fighting there.
Yeah, and that Shroud helped that be a 7-0 fight. So Tri-Fury drops all the way down there, 15 HP. That is a bit rough as we do go into Wolves. Kuzma, not sure if they've cashed out yet or not, but they're dropping really low, so I would assume not. Hopefully they manage to, though. That big cash out can swing things all the way around into a first. And okay, looks like they did cash out. So they have a ton of gold, a Nico's, a Thieves Gloves, running 4 Mercenary even. Not quite 5. Although there is something to say, I think, about running 5 Mercenary. Say if Kuzma goes to level 8 next turn, which definitely will, rolls a Tom Kench, rolls a Kaisa, you can get away with it.
You can get away with it for all of us forcing Mercenary 5s because it's fun. Sometimes it's more fun to win, my friend. So let's see if we're going to get that Tom Kench. Tom Kench is still a very good unit. How are we going to juggle our units right now? We also have that Nico, so if we somehow land on the 2 5 cost units of the same print, then we might see that Nico's get used. We have some tank items now too, so where are those going to end up going? One might end up being a Zephyr. Chalice, the party hat, a lot of people saying is better than a lot of other AP items right now, just in general, since it gives flat AP. So that could be an option too in the late game.
It did get buffed going into this recent patch as well. It'll give even more AP. Seen some players, notably Soju, Mismatch Socks, both just slamming those in the early mid game. Looks like Kuzma is not quite going to be strong enough to carry this to a win streak after cashing out.
That's a bad sign.
And I think you have to ask, like why Kuzma isn't rolling a bit more in that scenario. The board is decently strong, but if you're not strong enough to guaranteed win, you're playing it real risky. I mean, maybe gonna get rewarded because item component is now in the chest. Can farm some more items. Tom Kench here to, also farm some more items.
Oh,
there's a Kaisa too. Okay, I guess I predicted exactly. Wait, sold the Tom Kench. All right, never mind.
Okay.
I predicted, but I just kind of said nope. I don't want to go that direction.
He doesn't have a Quinn. So that might have been the reasoning behind it. We were going to keep the Kaisa, though. No Quinn for this particular board at the moment. Morello's very good item on a Kaisa, no matter what the stats on Morello's is going to be. One of the few units that's going to guarantee a tag on literally everyone. It's pretty much that Sunfire augment. When you put a Morello's onto Kaisa, this is actually close. This Heimerdinger is going to triple. Yep, the Heimerdinger takes down the Seraphine 2, I believe. That extra attack range not even needed in that situation.
Yeah. Oh, Kuzma's holding so many things on the bench. Kuzma wants to make a Jhin pivot happen here. Oh, has to sell an Orianna, though, to get a Braum pair. There's the Jhins. The pivot might happen right now, and yes, it does. Jhin 2 comes through. That is a big roll. Wants to put Scion in. Wants to put the Orianna in as well to give Clockwork. How is everything going to be managed here? Goes in over the Kaisa. I don't mind that. It is hard to fit Kaisa into every single composition, Jhin being one of them. But we have some decent Jhin items. And Declaw Redemption's perfect for a Scion.
Ooh, and we got the party hat real quick on that Feast
Yeah,
Gloves roll. And the
Banshees.
Trap Claw. Yeah, so we feel great about that, actually. Helps out does Jhin get a couple of these shots off. Unfortunately, the Assassins were there in the nick of time, but now it's just Scion against the world. But it seems like Kuzma is just going to get his Psy on instead as he loses the round. That was good. That was a really good makeup for the carry joke earlier. Yeah. That was really good.
I agree. Okay. You've redeemed yourself.
Thank you.
Already.
I appreciate it.
Tri-Fury does go out in 8th, unfortunately, and with those 2 losses back-to-back, Kuzma drops to single digit, and on, elimination point, this board is decent, but there's a Braum in there with no synergies. There's still a Kog'Maw, I guess, in there for Sniper. But one, it's hard to fit in everything that the Jhin comp wants with also running Sniper. Some players actually say that you don't need to run Sniper with Jhin. You do need a 3rd item, however. So I'm hopefully going to grab one of those, as also Skills is still 100 HP in this lobby. That is crazy to carry that win streak this long.
I mean, that's a huge lead from everyone, but it does seem like the rest of the lobby is about even in power, which is a great thing for someone like Boss, right? Everyone's kind of eating each other right now while he's on his throne getting fanned by, leaves at this point in time. But we'll see if the Emperor is gonna, suffer something like Caesar did back in the day. Like it was a week ago.
Back in the day.
But now we have some AP going on to the Lissandra, another really good unit to hold AP items in a lot of compositions. But this Innovator comp, this is where that Innovator comp should start falling off a little bit. And it's definitely going to have a hard time finding damage, but it has a lot of really good resources attached to it. So we're going to be A-okay for now. But how much further can this Innovator comp go?
Yeah, it was a fortunate matchup rolling into a Rat who is still level 7. There is also the potential of 7 Innovator here, especially with this Tome. Already has an Innovator Heart, and okay, misses on that one. It is okay. Because Kev just needs to find a Seraphine. And then... Ooh, okay. Actually, already going to move these items over to the Jace and Nico's.
Oh, nice. I like that.
That is big. So yeah, that will bridge the gap between finding a Seraphine. As soon as Lumikev hits that one, this board is going to be so strong with the Dragon.
Good call on the Jace, in my opinion, because we literally just said they're lacking damage. Now what you have in the back line, you have
big damage,
and a little bit of utility with that Last Whisper for someone else on the board, for those little cotton balls that Ezreal is going to throw at tier 1, or the gears that Orianna is going to throw right now. But any type of chip extra damage is at the late game stage potentially round winning. So we'll see how much value this Jace gets into the back line. I think a lot of people assume Jace will go into the front line, but in this situation, he's also going to be providing attack speed to everyone back there as well once we do get that ult off.
Jace care from the back line buffed a couple patches ago, I assume, and yeah, just look at all the damage that he's doing. There was no world the Talon was, winning this matchup, even it being tier 3. Play was so fast. Jace did 5,000 damage, seemed like instantly, but also has really good items on the Lissandra as well. Lissandra is one of the best item carriers and just maybe even late game carries for Morellos. It spreads onto many different units, has some innate protection as well as Leona slaps down the rest of that board. But anyways, has some innate protection as she will ulti herself, become immune, and stack up with that Archangels over the course of the whole fight.
Mm-hmm. And she is someone as a frontline caster that will get a second ultimate. And that second ultimate will rip through the remaining parts of your comp. So it's kind of like a little bit of a race, right? How much value can you get between those ultimates is going to decide if you win or lose a round.
Yeah, definitely. Moving over to a common Quail, probably one of the more recognizable names in this lobby. Has been on Fight Night multiple times. This game is going Shaco.
Let's see, am I right? Oh, it was a spat? All right, I think most people probably would have wanted gold. Anyway, what we have here? We have an Arcanist, a Syndicate spat. Ooh, Syndicate. Yep. Yeah, that's an easy slam there. And so we're going to get 5 Syndicate, which is such a nice little buff for someone like Shaco.
Definitely. I've seen Shaco 2s, like top 2 boards, or top 2 lobbies pretty easily. Don't even need Shaco 3. Don't even need a Kali to be that much of a carry. Just Shaco on his own with this specific build, Last Whisper, IE Runans, is an absolute terror. It does struggle a little bit against some Brambles, and there is a Bramble from Demish over there. Or Denish, excuse me. Oh, this Lux.
Oh, man, so some really good displacement. Janna actually really good against Assassins in particular, but look at that Shaco ulting at exactly the right time to avoid some of that Lux damage, and for some reason that Lux has not taken down that Shaco just yet, but like you said, the Bramble is all you need sometimes. I mean, there was a world in the last set, if everyone remembers, where the counter to Nocturne was just Bramble. And it's always going to be the case when it comes to Assassins. When any Assassin is taking over a lobby and you don't have a Bramble, you'll probably have a hard time. But if you have that Bramble at the ready, you'll see what happens, which is that Shaco got stuck.
Got stuck for literally the entire fight as soon as he went over to that Vex. Has to get through the shields and the Bramble. Last Whisper is nice, but doesn't really do enough. And Common Quill decides to Nico the Yuumi 2 instead of the Braum 2. I'm not actually so sure of that myself. I think that the difference between Yuumi 1 and 2 isn't that great, but the difference between Braum 1 and 2 is actually more significant. Braum is going to get shrouded either way, though.
Ooh, double shroud there coming in from Boss, who has taken a tumble at 2, Boss A. As at 58 HP has lost about half of it in about 5 rounds, right? So now we're going to play a little bit of Ring Around the Rosie with Shaco. And this is where Fiora can get moderately scary, is when she's last and she's close to that ult, but the timing is really good. Fiora not going to be able to get there. And look at this, 3 people on fire. One of them is at 6 HP. We'll see how long Kuzma will be able to hang on, but these streaks will be ending shortly.
Yeah, Denish Park goes out in 7th. So unfortunately, the Arcanist's not quite good enough there, whether it be positioning, not quite sure exactly what it was. Kuzma, though, after that Merc cashed out, has found some nice success with this pivot into the Jhin, Orianna, Sion frontline. Sion, I think, is widely seen as the kind of perfect frontline when you're running Jhin. He's also going to be perfect frontline for Icy here, rocking 5 Imperial, 4 Assassins. But Lumi Kev as the Dragon online. That's 7 Innovator.
Yeah. Okay, 7. This is a cool little combination of team comps that you don't see every day on the same board. But it's going to be Jace versus Sion, and it's actually a lot closer than I had anticipated. The Sion, though, going to be way too tanky, and in particular, that Redemption is actually pretty good against that comp. Remember, it does help against AoE damage for everyone around them as well.
Definitely. I think for the Icy, that Talon had the best build to deal with that board. Mostly because of that Quicksilver, to be honest. Couldn't get feared by the Dragon. No CC can come through. Innovator boards have a decent amount of it. And is going to be 47 HP still on a streak there. Loving what I'm seeing here. 5 Imperial. You know, after the buffs of Imperial in the last patch, I really wanted to see some people start going it, mostly with Samira, but hey, I will not complain to see it being run with Talon and have it be successful.
Yeah, because, you know, when you see Imperials, you think of an opening, and then, you know, Imperial actually goes into like 3 separate comps that you can potentially get into based off of what you're running. You can keep with those assassins, you can move into challengers, for example. But this time around, we're going to see what the full 5 Imperial is going to be. There are Imperial buff augments that we could have gotten, unfortunately, that we didn't at this period of time. It would have been awesome if we could have gotten the double Imperial augment, but we're going to see what just the raw Imperial 5 is going to be able to do. And the Shroud actually not amazing there for Basso.
Yeah, and Shroud just doesn't even do anything to Talon ever, so a large part of this composition you just can't shut down with that. Basso sacrificed a lot of HP to go 9 and has an okay board. It's just not strong enough to deal with most of this lobby. Basso could have gone from 100 HP through most of the game to still bot 4ing, and that is not what you like to see. We move over to their board, see what they're able to make happen, maybe find a Galio too. A Rat, though, does go out in the bottom 4 there, out in 6th.
Yeah, Tri-Fury and Danish already eliminated from the lobby. And if you remember, this comp has actually not gotten much stronger since like 6 or 7 rounds ago. We got to upgrade a Tarek, but you know, we have a Galio now. But other than that, it's actually the power level has really stalled out. And we do have a Fiora, but do we have someone to enable the Fiora? That's the question. It should be the Galio. Let's see how much damage this Fiora is going to be able to get. You just need to race that damage into this particular team comp. And the Dragon actually gets a ton of value in this particular round. But the Fiora is still alive and has that Giant Slayer. So it is not over just yet.
Oh, 1 HP. Fiora lives and heals back up a ton because of the 3 Socialite healing. Dragon
That's not
Fear.
overtime, though. Oh, overtime.
There we go.
Got a little help from the clock. In my opinion, but you know, I was talking about if Fiora dies with GA when her ult's just right up, that's what can happen, and that's the scariest part of Fiora is you can't really ever counter out.
Definitely not. Fiora is known to you know, 1v5 the end of some fights, especially when she has a similar build to this. Giant Slayer, not bad. Titans also not bad. Jewel Gauntlet, i.e. maybe is like best Fiora build, but still, this is super serviceable. And 3 Socialite, super good. But now Nico's help comes through from Basso on the neutrals. What does he use it for? Does he roll into a Kaisa or a Galio first and then Nico the other one? That would make this board so strong. Does, however, at least claim a top 4 because Kuzma did go out in 5th. Oh, here we go. Kaisa 2.
You can just natty the Kaisa and then Nico's the Galio. There we go. So
all right.
From what we literally last round, as much as we stalled out, we are not talking about that anymore. That was a huge power jump, particularly on that Kaisa. So we'll see if that was enough. That was enough last round, and I think a little bit of luck was involved, especially with that Fiora. So we'll see if these 5-cost tier 2s are going to change course here as a pretty good Shroud onto the right side with that Tarek and Galio.
Yeah, definitely. And now, yeah, the Kaisa not only got upgraded to tier 2, but she has the GA as well. That's kind of perfect item for Kaisa. Allows her to be the second true carry of this comp. Shaco's going to have a lot harder of a time to deal with both carries. And Galio goes and slams down as well. Shaco gets taken out, and a common Quail narrowly gets and misses getting taken out there. 5 HP. Elimination point for sure. Single digit. Cannot take any more losses.
All right, so this lobby almost flipped itself from what it looked like at the early game versus what it looks like right now. And it's also like super weird to see Fiora without Yone, right? But that is not an optical illusion because that used to be the challenger comp, right? Was Academy Spat Fiora, but it's nice to see Fiora kind of carve out a little bit of space for herself here, and it is very good for her right now. The Seraphine, though, is going to get absolutely not roasted here because the talent actually goes into the Fiora. That might have actually been a good thing. It is Kaisa versus the world. Is that going to be enough? It's a lot closer than I would have anticipated. And it's Kaisa versus Scion. And I think I think the GA is still there. So it's like, oh, no, it's not. So Kaisa actually falls. but we're still alive. Common Quail will finish in 4th.
And that was such a close fight, and I think if the positioning was just a tad bit different, say the Shroud landed on the Assassins that jumped left side, it could have been, going the other way. But Bosso skills, 4 HP now. Common Quail did go out. Lumi Kev doing his best to scout, see how they want to reposition, or if they even can at all. Oftentimes, the Innovator board just kind of clumps in a corner and prays, and I think that's all really Lumi Kev can do. Doesn't want to get his Jace Zephyr, that's about it.
Yeah, you throw salt behind your shoulder, you pray to the Mort God, and
yeah.
just hope,
and the Zephyr.
God, yeah, you need, but the Zephyr does go onto the Jace, so we're not going to... Oh, but it misses the Dragon! But it does get CC'd anyway. That actually could have been an interesting situation if Jace didn't have that follow-up CC attached to them. But the Scion is starting to rolling. Is it enough? Though this Fiora, again, is going to win. The Jace actually does win out against the Scion. We still have 3 people remaining on this carousel. What kinds of items are we looking at now? This is where the Shrouds, maybe the Chalices, the Zeeks might get picked up here.
Yeah, the carries are going to be fully itemized. Tank items, there's not really any great ones. There's ZZ Rot. There is going to be Ionic as well, but Shroud, of course, Snap picked up, followed by a Zeeks. And it's going to be a Shojin's, actually. For Kev, might go on the Orianna. Yes, it is.
I like that.
More Orianna ults is fantastic for this board. Hopefully dodges Zephyrs though in the future, because those fights can get a lot scarier if the Zephyrs are not dealt with.
Zephyr almost saved that Jace again. The Dragon ulted a little early on a board and then didn't hit everyone. All right, we have an Innovator comp here with those Enforcers, so it is going to lock up somebody. It's kind of like a discounted Zephyr. And then we'll see if the Challenger comp's going to be able to get into that back line, especially with the Kaisa getting locked up.
Galio jumps into the back line, but it might be okay. Seraphine's helping keep the board alive. Same with Orianna and her shields.
Fiora.
Oh, Fiora goes into the GA state, gets her ult off. Can she take down everyone else? She might be able to.
Is this deja vu?
Oh my god.
Olivia Rodrigo, where did you go? So it really just seems like Fiora might be a pretty good counter with Giant Slayer to this particular comp. That's the second time we've seen Fiora at least 1v4 at the end. So I wonder what adjustments we're going to make, because it doesn't seem like this comp can beat that Fiora. It just doesn't seem like it's happening.
Put a Yuumi in there, maybe just some just ambient CC is going to be the difference between taking out the Fiora and not, and it very well could be. Yuumi is a fantastic unit. Yuumi, Janna, probably the most played units out of any, I would say, in this set.
I got a Janna 3 right before we started casting today.
Wow, how much did it do?
Not really that much. I got there.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah. It was more so blocking other people's Jannas was the effect, I think. But let's see. We have an elimination round potentially here. The Fiora is going to get ult off. Oh, beautiful CC this time from the Janna, but no one is looking at the Fiora. This is best case scenario for the Fiora. Is this going to happen for a third time? Fiora falls, but it doesn't matter, as we've got Icy and Lumi now in the top 2. Going into round 7, it's going to be a Rabadon's, and you're going to find value for Lumi on this particular item. It's going to go on the Orianna most likely.
Yep,
and
definitely
then
so.
I didn't quite catch what the other Shelly was holding.
Not sure what it was holding, but we do have, both of the comps here, and that is going to be that matchup earlier that we're like, hey, these boards don't face each other that much. It's the Innovators, 7 Innovators, in fact, versus 5 Imperials. So comps that are not the standard in this meta, not AD Flex. I mean, I guess you could say Lumi Kev, some AD items, they went into a Jace. It's just flexing more than you would expect, and hey, there's 6 Jannas, Boop. We could be seeing the Janna 3. Oh, there's another one. Actually's going for it. Even if Lumi Kev loses this round, it's not going to be over. It has a chance to roll into it.
Yeah, and what's really funny is you will not see a single difference between Janna 2 and Janna 3 probably.
I know, it's
at the end of the day. But it's still cool. She's really big on the map. But it really is all about positioning here, making sure that Jace avoids any type of brutal CC, which should be pretty easy here because the only CC is the Scion and the Blitzcrank. Pretty good Seraphine ult there. While it didn't do a ton of damage, it did get a lot of the allies, so the attack speed is going to increase. Now with the phase gate, it's going to be even harder to get to this Jace. And look at just all the damage. That's it. It's going to be 7 innovators. Without, I think, that extra tome. The tome didn't give him that 7 innovator, so that was a pretty tough one. We locked it in. We saw the bear really struggling in the mid game, and we did what we needed to do to lock in a potential game-winning, lobby-winning comp, and we were able to do so against some pretty strong challenger comps. Pretty strong Fiora that had beaten them a couple times, but was eliminated before he could take them in the 1v1.
Definitely. We know that the innovators won the lobby. Let's take a look at the other scores and see where everyone left off at. After just game number 1, Lumikev in first place with 10 points. Icy second with 8. Bosso Skills and a Common Quail rounded our top 4. Kuzma unfortunately could not get it done with the Mercenaries. And a Rat, a player that we expect to top 3 every single week, starts the day off with a 6. So a bit surprising, I would say, Boop.
Yeah, I think last time we were here, it was a little bit of a slow start, and we were able to get back into the top 3. So hopefully history repeats itself if you are a Rat fan. But as of right now, the top 3 completely different than the top 3 last time. The last time we were here.
Yeah, it could be shaken up a whole lot. But that was just an interesting lobby number 1 as well. I think we don't usually see, again, Assassins, Imperials, even Talon make it that far into the game, but that's what can happen with specific augment choices. You get a 1/4 featherweights, you're like, all right, what 2 cost carries am I going to run? Is it going to be Kog'Maw, Protector comp? Is it going to be Katarina? Is it going to be Talon? And it just happened to be the Talon there in that position. And it is fortunate for Lumikev as well. Even though they didn't get the Innovator emblem from the Tome, they still got Innovator, heart from the 1/4 augment. So that's all you really need. You just find all the other ones. Actually found the Jace before the Seraphine, but eventually got the Seraphine and still had a sizable HP lead when they won the lobby. So I think very well played there by both of those top 2.
I totally agree. And I'm checking in some stats right now, and it seems like that 7 innovator comp has a 94% top 4 rate and a 50% win rate. So if you're able to do it, that's why it's so hard to get there.
Yeah.
Remember how easy it was back in the day to get 7 innovator? But now it's a lot harder. So if you at home see someone lock in that 7 innovator, it might be time to start trying to counter it specifically, especially if you're in that 1v1. But the one comp that I think a lot of people expected to see coming in here, especially on ladder, was Yordles. We didn't get a single Yordle player in that lobby. So is that something that, in this lobby we just might not see? We do have someone named a Rat who should be playing Yordles thematically, but we didn't even see anyone really printing them for economy this time around.
Yeah, that's interesting. If no one did, maybe just didn't roll into them, just had other better early game boards, right? Yordles aren't the only thing you need to run. There was Mercs, which kind of fills a similar purpose. Not quite always going to be the same there. It is harder to get into those mercenaries and a bit harder to get out of them. Yordle's the more consistent option.
I totally agree. And if you're just like trying to play a comp and you're kind of just wanting to play the game, just play Yordles, right? You're gonna find success out of it. You're gonna tier 3 units. It's gonna give you everything that you like in TFT, just by waiting. As we get as disappointed as I was in our 2 common ones, we're gonna start with Prismatic, which is everyone's favorite.
Yeah.
Portable Forge is super interesting. High-end shopping this early. It could actually, if you're planning to run reroll or Yordles, might actually hurt you in the end, but it will give you access to 5 cost units, so that legendary comp will be there, but it's going to be item grab bag. That's 4 extra components, which value-wise is huge, because it doesn't count, I believe, towards the item components that you get from your creep rounds.
Correct. It will not count against those. You just have 2 free completed items, and they are a Dragon's Claw and a Hextech Gunblade in Lumikev's case, and that's not terrible, right? Could have been a lot worse, I think. Unfortunately, since it has been nerfed, there's no reforgers, so you can't reforge those items. You're kind of stuck with them unless you get, maybe salvage bin a bit later on, and then you can use the components for literally whatever you want. And okay, gets a potential spark declaw like Gunblade kind of board. That could be pretty scary, I would say.
More syndicates. 5 syndicates, also a pretty solid comp. Kind of tough to reach, but this is a really easy way to do it. I wonder if we're going to have any protectors here as well. But these double syndicates, I wonder where they're going to go. We're going to go the challenger direction, of course. So we've got our 3 syndicates. Everyone's a syndicate with the 2 Twisted Fates in the back line. But we're going to go with double frontline, which is much better. Frontline in the early game is where you want to be.
Yeah, a Warwick over a TF with no items being only, 1 star. Definitely going to be a bit better. Syndicates is an interesting choice for a Common Quail. I'd actually be curious, and I might go look at, what his choices were, because there's not really the items available, at least right now, to go for a Shaco, go into a Kali 7 Syndicate. There was 2 vests, which sure, go into a GA, but already a Bramble Slam. There's no gloves, no swords. 1 cloak is okay for a Shaco Runans, but still, again, a long way away from having the ideal start. Does have 3 mercenaries in the shop right now, and yeah, there we go. Picks them up.
I
like
as well.
this.
This is a good version of 3 syndicates, in my opinion. Yeah, you could. I mean, if he wants to, he could just kind of leave. Oh, you would have to level up first, but oh, okay. This is how we're gonna do it.
All right, everything on the bench. Everything benched. Syndicate Alawi, Syndicate MF, 3 Syndicate. Here we go. Okay. So making his board not terribly weak, maybe killing 1 or 2 units while still wanting to go on that loss streak is fantastic. The difference between a good mercenary player and a great mercenary player is actually massive and separates like a first place from like just a 4th or like a 5th or something like that. If you cash out perfectly and make your transitional turn so effective, that is multiple placements right there that you're gaining.
Nope, 100% true. That's some good advice there. As we do have some protectors. This is a Stand United augment, I believe. Can you imagine if that 7 Innovator comp had Stand United as well? It would never have been close.
Oh man, that would have been
in that situation.
Huge.
That's one of those kind of combos that a lot of people kind of overlook. They might actually accidentally put it on. If like Stand United your 3rd augment, you're like, oh, I've got like 18 things on the side. But Stand United and Innovators will always be good. You're always going to have a lot of 2 splashes in that comp and some legendaries. So that's going to be upwards of like 20 to 35, like 20 to 40 extra AD there when it comes to the prismatic version.
Definitely some good items for this backline. Ezreal might not be able to kill everything off. The front line is rather weak for Icy, but all right, good loss. Or wait a minute, okay. Maybe could be a win, but no, a good loss. Doesn't continue the win streak, which I think Icy would have loved to do, but all of a sudden Tri-Fury, who was loss streaking for the majority of last game until they unfortunately got an 8th, is win streaking thus far. It's only 3 rounds, but still a good trend here for a bit of a comeback in game number 2.
It's good for the mental, right? If you just keep losing, sometimes you kind of just get buried under the the weight of losing, right?
Like, how am I going to get out of this? How am I going to transition out? I'm just
sometimes
so much
you actually
pressure
feel like
there.
you're drowning, right? And there's nothing that you can do. All of a sudden your mouse movements are slower. Maybe you'll misclick an XP instead of a roll. like that's when those like inherently weird mistakes that you're over will start going into your game, otherwise known as the yips. One of my favorite terms. But
and it's sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, go for it. No.
I was gonna say that there's something that like literally every single TFT player can fall into those kind of mistakes. Coming off of watching and commenting the Challenger series, where it's the literal top 16 best ladder players in North America. Kyun ran 2 out of 3 mercenaries. He thought he was cashing out, and he was only 2 out of 3. And his face of realization there was
Kyun again.
Yeah, it was Kyun. Kyun somehow topped 7 + 2 = 8. I don't know how he managed to do that, but he did. Kyun is, bless his soul. But there's even players as well who will do things like in a stressful situation, they'll level up a bunch of XP and, put 1 more XP than they needed to. And so they lose out.
Or
on
did
4
the
gold.
math incorrectly and they end up with 2 less XP than to get to the next level, for example, right?
These mistakes, I've seen multiple of those mistakes in Challenger series, and it can really get to you. The pressure of, especially if coming off of a game 1 loss, game 1 8th place. It's rough.
However, we did get a pretty big loss that last time around, so we're still running those mercenaries, so that's fine. We're going to move into some even stronger front lines. Zach better than Graves in the front line for sure, especially if you're not running any other academies. And we have a Hand of Justice on the board, which can be flexible, but can be disappointing as well, very much like my cooking. And it is not something that you normally will slam. It's one of those constellatory items, as we do have a reroll protector comp, what it looks like, as it was the loaded dice prismatic augment helping us there. And man, if you get that loaded dice augment in the first round and you're not trying to tier 3 1-cost units, or running mercenaries, those are like your 2 options. If you aren't doing it that way, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, definitely to hit those 3 stars is huge. I believe Kuzma probably just did it on Kassadin, so they had a chance of hitting, the Garens or the Protectors, the Kassadins, of course, and the Kog'Maws, because there was a Kog'Maw 2 on that board really early, and it had a Static Shiv, a fantastic unit to run, or a fantastic item to run on a fantastic unit, right, as a carrying that composition. Tri-Fury is running the level up augment, and is running mercenaries, and is leveled aggressively to 6. That's not something you usually do when you're trying to lost streak mercenaries. So I'm really curious to if this does work out, because by no means is it the standard way to play a Merc opener.
He might just have it to have it at this point, right? Because if he hits a 5-cost unit on this next roll, which he can, because he has... Oh, is that high-end shopping? No.
Level up.
Let's level up. So, unfortunately, that is going to be a little bit further away as I get confused by the logos for a second. But we do have we have moderately good items here for our units. We've got an AP flex if we want. We have attack speed plus the Hodge, depending on where we want to go with it. It's going to be the Shiv, which was nerfed, but is going to be pretty good on someone like the Seraphine because of how that ultimate works. She's going to make it so she does more damage. Destiny in her own hands as she hangs out with Skarner and does things.
Oh no. Oh no, isn't it like really messed up? Like,
yeah,
I don't know exactly what it is. I don't want to like say something and be wrong, but it's kind of messed up.
There's a lot of it's not just this game. There's a lot of other games with super dark lore that people just don't read, right?
Yeah.
And so sometimes it is what it is. Sometimes it'd be like that, as the Seraphine is gonna auto attack down the Echo, and
love it.
That's about it. So the Static Shiv actually takes down a unit specifically, and that's gonna be okay here as we compete for a potential first pick on the next carousel. We still do want to cash out on this board. We finally do get to switch out the Warmogs onto the Scion, and that tells you and me that we're trying to win here on this particular round. We have no money though. So hopefully the extra level at 3-2 is going to be enough to bring us out, because I'm not sure even we can beat that comp of 5 there because with the Protectors.
Yeah, especially with the redemption now on the Castle, it's going to be a lot harder. I mean, level 7 at 3-2 though is kind of crazy. You're usually going to win just based off of a unit advantage. It is not a guarantee though, especially with the lobby filled with prismatic augments.
Yep, and Scion taking away one of those unit advantages.
True.
At the end of the day, but this redemption's so good on units like Kassadin. And with the Static Shiv, everyone getting stuck on Kassadin. The Ziggs doesn't get the kill because of the redemption bonus, and this is all you need to do. Doesn't matter that we're a whole level behind because we've got the right itemization. And friends, Static Shiv is good, has always been good. I think has gotten a little bit of historical badness from last set. I don't know what that's called, but at the end of the day, Static Shiv is still a very good item and has been almost the whole set. So it's not an item that you have to be afraid of anymore.
Definitely doesn't have to be. It's still good though. It buffs AP a lot. As we take a look at Kuzma's augment choices here, Trade Sector is good for the comp. There is already the Kassadin 3. It's going to lose a little bit of value that we would usually get. But Metabolic Accelerator is almost always just a snap pick. It's so good. You regenerate 12 HP per stage. You have like an extra half a health bar. It almost guarantees a top 4 in almost any TFT game if you get in the first or second augments. And yeah, okay, Kuzma does go that direction. It's just so good. Metabolic, honestly, in my opinion, should be nerfed.
We'll see if it not being a first pick is going to affect some of its power.
A little bit.
Probably not that much.
Yeah.
Because again, at this point in time, HP is your lifeline, right? At the early game, you're kind of using it as money, right? But at this point in time, 2 HP, right, can be the difference between 4th and 5th, which is 2 whole points, right, on the leaderboard. So metabolic is so good in general. And also, there's something that's just really good when you see someone moving really slowly to an item and you just stick around in your box until you're like, I'm going to take your item. And then, and then you just take it from someone else,
Yep.
which you can do some of that clownery when you do pick up that metabolic. But what I was about to say is those would have been amazing to choose from in that first round, right?
Oh yeah.
Those would have been great. And I think maybe because metabolic was the second augment, we were thinking of some other things, maybe like celestial a little bit to buff the whole team. But we ended up on the right spot. So maybe we're just kind of reading things through. But that was, in my opinion, the pick the whole time.
100%. Kuzma's in a fantastic spot with those, early loaded dice. Going to be 86 HP on a win streak. Going to be healing back up, 88 right now. They might be in first place in the lobby here soon. And rolling has 6 Kog'Maws. This, I'll say, is a guaranteed top 4 from this spot for Kuzma.
I feel like he was close there when we got the Kassadin 3 at round like 2-4.
Yeah, true. Definitely. Maybe that's not a hot take. Me saying, top 4 guarantee. I'll go for it. One placement higher. I'll say top 3 guarantee.
Yeah, I appreciate your iced coffee take. There,
those are my favorite. I'm famous for those.
I like. Also, we're only 2 graves away, like you said, 3 Kog'Maws. That stack ship is going to get even stronger once we get that Kog'Maw 3. And look at just how much value that Kassadin is giving. That it really shouldn't allow to be given, but now we're getting to a point where there's just not enough damage for our twin shot protector. Reroll comp, we need to get those tier 3 because this comp will always be under leveled compared to the rest of the lobby. You're overcoming that disadvantage by having super strong units, so we'll see how we handle this.
Need to get the items as well. Items are very important. There's a lot of Caitlyn's. Good pickup, good roll there. The unit that you do want to run on level 6 is going to be Malzahar, but you don't need to keep every single Malzahar you see. If Kuzma loses that matchup, and it's the difference between making 50 gold or not making 50 gold, Malzahar will definitely be sold. A rat also has Tahm Kench on stage 3. Yikes for the rest of the lobby.
That's pretty good. It's especially good. A lot of people say, oh, Tahm Kench is really good early, but the reason why is because Tahm Kench is potentially going to be eating tier 1 units. It's so much easier to get items the earlier you get your Tahm Kench, right? So obviously the internal balance there was making him a legendary, but sometimes you get that 2% roll or 1% roll, and you get that Tahm Kench, and that's just a win more situation. The snowball potential from that point is obscene. As Basso, who had a pretty terrible nosedive in the last lobby, now in second place still, but we know from the last lobby that this could be a precarious situation still.
Definitely can be. They did manage to scrape a third at a last game, so it's not like they bot forward it or anything like that. Good spot this lobby. As we scout around here, see how close people are to their big power spikes. Built different is being run for Basso. That is why there's no traits here, and that's why I think they're relatively healthy, because Built different just gives you so many good stats in the early game. The question is, where's Basso going to go from that spot? But, look at Common Quail. Common Quail, certainly running Mercs, has cashed out. Double Nikos, ton of gold. Still rolling, though. And 7 Syndicate has been found.
Ooh, 7 Syndicate's pretty brutal to beat against. This is a top 4 comp, unless we get rock, paper, scissors, because there are weaknesses here. For example, Talon's just tier 1, right? We are going to get a tier 2 Jace. We popped the Frozen Heart off, tried to put it back onto Jace, and now we don't have a good person to put it on, and so we're going to go ahead and put it on to the Braum. So that is the definition of the longer I take with my first decision, the shorter I have for the rest of my decisions happening. And I think we saw a little bit of overanalyzing there when it came to the Jace. We did too many things that we actually didn't need to do.
Yeah, I think there was a bit of one overreacting to the spot that a Common Quail was at. I think Common Quail maybe didn't need to double Nico in that position, but as you mentioned, didn't have all the time needed, so didn't put the Frozen Heart Jace in. Instead pop the item off, and you visibly saw the frustration on the Colin Quill's face
Redemption's
after
so
that
ugly
one
on him.
didn't
I don't know
happen.
why I don't like the way that looks, but this is still pretty good, right? It's still a tank in the front line. Redemption, we've already seen really good in the early game, can have a lot less effectiveness in the late game. So the value of Frozen Heart, I think, at this point would have been better. We still have it on the Braum, but the reason
Yeah,
why I don't
not bad.
necessarily like it on the Braum is because of the ult. You're actually wasting some of Frozen Heart while they're in the air. So it's good on units like Jace because he's not automatic. He's not giving something up to have that item. But yeah, it's going to be the Sheikah with the Bloodthirster this time, Crowan.
Yeah, and Bloodthirster over the Last Whisper just didn't have the components for it, and that's okay. I think Common Quail was in a spot where he had to slam some items, and it's going to be good enough, especially with the double Nikos, the Jace 2, 7 Syndicate. It is hard to picture a board that is stronger than the Common Quails at least this point in the game. As we do get into stage 5, however, I think a Common Quail might end up getting outscaled, and don't think it's going to end up being great. A Common Quail is at 19 life. It is rather low. A couple of poor RNG fights or just bad matchups, and he's out of here. Could still be a bottom 4, but doesn't have to be. Common Quail still has 50 gold. Strong right now. Could go 8, find some Macaulay's, or maybe even reroll for Shaco 3.
If he had 30 HP, this is top 4 comp, no problem. Like, there's no question about it. But at 19, it's just, you're kind of living close, to the edge, right? This is someone who likes diving off the high dive. This is someone, who will wait a couple days before they repair that thing on their boat. Yeah. But it's working out right now. And like you said, this is kind of key to understand that we probably didn't need to use all of those actions on that roll down. This is going to be working out for now, but is the better tank item on the Braum going to end up being the game of inches that loses us here? But we have the bottom 3 winning here, which is always a good sign for a good lobby, because at 5-1 things are always going to get more even if we don't have an elimination just yet. But Tri-Fury once again living on the edge on elimination station. Common Quail in a much better position right now than might be in Tri-Fury, but we'll see.
Tri-Fury did say, quote, "I'm gonna bounce back, comma, trust," end quote. So hey, all pressure on Tri-Fury. See if they're able to stick true to their word. Finds a Galio. Already running 3 Socialite, it looks like. Oh, that's because there is a Socialite emblem on the Janna. Oh, they cash out. Okay. This is, double Nico's. Components. Gold. Oh my. And level ups, they get to go 9.
I love that. Components gold. Oh my.
Yeah, it's everything.
The double Nico's so good here. We already saw how good it is for Common Quail, but now we've also got Kuzma on that tier 3 Kog'Maw, which is actually a little late based off the fact that we had 6 of them about 6 or 7 rounds ago. We're going to go ahead. This is the second time we've seen someone double Nico's Yuumi. This second time around, Crowan, is it better?
Warmogs and the Yuumi? All right, gonna have some more value on her, bigger shields. Fiora has 3 items right now, a bunch of units just on the board, right? We are level 9 already on 4-5. This should stabilize Tri-Fury for now. Is going up against Common Quail, who is the other person who Nico'd a 5-cost unit. Can Fiora get through it? Uh-oh. Is this the one matchup that Tri-Fury couldn't actually face and win?
It's Fiora.
It's Fiora.
No. If Fiora gets a Shaco.
Oh,
this is so close.
Oh
my god, the Warmogs. It was the more Warmogs, Crowan.
Warmogs Yuumi diff. Actually a Warmogs Yuumi diff, Boop. That is why you see that instance right there.
It's so great when the game gives you such a clear example of why something works, and that was it. There's no argument against Warmogs not being why that happened. As we do get cybernetic implants, which are going to be the tankiest Yuumi you'll ever see. Take note, friends. You will never see a Yuumi this tanky outside of a Thieves Club's Yuumi that rolls into tank items. But what a sight to behold.
That is something. The only thing that I'm worried about Tri-Fury's board is the lack of frontline. There is just a Galio 1, and he is going to, leap in the air and kind of ditch his role as a frontliner. And perhaps leave Fiora to get bursted if she is in between her ultimate windows. So still not out of the woods yet for Tri-Fury.
Mm-hmm.
Fights could go wrong.
We have the triple socialite, which is very good on a unit like Fiora, especially that extra mana. No GA on the Fiora, one of my favorite items on her, but hopefully we have enough lifesteal to compensate for no res, and it seems like it might be enough again. Another really good Yumiel to help things out. Imagine if we had first aid, this wouldn't even be close, but it doesn't matter right now because this Fiora is all the damage that we need, and low-key, that Static Shiv is helping too.
Static Shiv was very nice. The Seraphine did a few thousand damage there, death cap as well, and imagine what happens when she gets tier 2'd, right? Even more damage. 4 Scholar, gonna help Fiora keep regenerating mana. The 2 Socialite mana generation was nerfed coming to this patch, but still okay. I think it's still very good to get 3 in there, so you benefit from the healing. Not that the Fiora needs it, right, with the Hand of Justice and a BT already, but, you know, you might as well just add it in there. Fiora, if she gets the ulti off, she will heal to full every single time without doubt, even if she's like Morello's or Sunfire's or something.
Not awful item pickup. That's going to be a Zephyr, as that's going to be the last creep round. We're probably going to keep bouncing in and out of where that's going to be. The roll down at level 8 has commenced. We're starting to pivot.
Oh, salvage bin. Okay, things are going to get a bit dizzy here, I would imagine. Or not. Actually, there's the plan already. Knows what these units or these items are going to be.
I don't think I've ever remembered that I have salvage bin. When it comes to units. You know, when you sell, like, you start pivoting and you see all those item components go up, and then all of a sudden it's like you're Scrooge McDuck, but you're drowning in the money.
Yeah.
Right? And you can't breathe right now, as we have an Akali too on the other side here. I'm assuming this is Common Quail, so we'll see if the Akali 2 with no items is going to beat out our kind of one-cost Kaisa here with the Giant Slayer. It doesn't look like it's going to be close at all. Are we going to be able to take another unit? No, even though we were burning a little bit. Darius doing a little bit of a Burning Man impression. Not enough.
Not quite enough. Everything on fire, but nothing quite falling. If this Kaisa gets tier 2'd, she's going to be doing a lot more. I think there's still a lot more improvements Basso skills needs to make to this board, and still has a lot of gold to make those happen. Didn't even have, at the beginning of that fight, double chalice online. Only got one of the chalices off before the fight started. There's Seraphine too.
Oh, that's a big upgrade. Now we have an established front line. We'll see if the damage is going to be enough going onto that Kaisa. We would have loved a Kaisa too, but we do have most of the tier 2 units that we need. I think that's a good switch out. I don't think we need that Leona. If it was still Scion 1, but it's going to be... Oh, that's a Leona. Okay, got lucky. Didn't get any like timed things, like if that was a Shroud or a Zephyr, it wouldn't have worked there.
Yeah.
But we talked about when it gets stressful, right? You make interesting mistakes like that, and while it didn't affect us that time, it actually almost did.
Yeah, it could have. Imagine if it was a Shroud and there was a Shroud diff kind of fight.
Yep.
Gotta always, we talk about intentionality of mouse movements and things like that. Players having their missteps. Really goes to show. A Rat, however, also another board running 4 Scholars. It is going to be an Orianna carry, though, and I love seeing these kind of boards work out. They're not your traditional carries. They're kind of utilizing... It gives you vibes of, like, Vanguard Mystics and things of the sort, like a Cassiopeia carry, but it's with Orianna, who's an enchanter, but she still does really good damage with her ult and has a bunch of fantastic supporting units, in front of her, behind her, everything.
This comp benefits from overtime probably more than any other comp that you're going to see. I love that augment in terms of how it looks. Yeah, the stopwatch and how it looks. But basically, what's very similar to this is there are some other games like if you look at regular League of Legends, right? There are some comps with like double healers and like Taric where you weren't really doing a ton of damage, but they couldn't do any damage to you. So eventually they just ran out of mana, and then you're able to just overcome, right? That's kind of like what this is. You're not going to be scaring us with a ton of damage. Yeah, there's going to be a good amount of burst damage with the Orianna, but at the end of the day, there's just so much support happening between every unit on here, and the way they interact, the synergy is so amazing. This is what I would like to say, like, if you get first aid on one of the augments, this is the comp you want to run. for
Definitely.
example. So
It's the war
we'll
of
see it
attrition.
without. Yeah, we will see it without first aid, but you're not really going to need it. And you also have a really good amount of defensive ability here with the enchanters. So if there's another magic based comp, which we know there is, that's going to matter here, along with things like bruisers for the front line. So it might not look like there's a ton of tankiness here, but there is a ton of tankiness here for everyone, not just for the front line.
Yeah, I mean, frontline still is, right? And there's the Lissandra, who we talked about earlier, is fantastic at being that Morello's spread unit. You can proc it onto multiple different targets. Also, D-Claws. So if you go up against AP boards like Lumi Kev here is kind of a half AP board, that Mundo, that Lissandra going to live for a very long time. Orianna going to get some fantastic ults out here. Wait until the second one comes through. It's going to be real huge. There we go. Backline nearly getting one shot there. Doesn't hit the Jhin, but that's okay. Again, look at this front line. The Mundo is full HP. Boop can't even get through it.
Exactly, because the second that he gets low, Seraphine ults. Hey, and you know what? Maybe we have Morello's. Doesn't matter because he's also getting healed by Janna. Oh, by the way, Morello's doesn't count for shielding, so the Orianna shield is just going to be full power. Right, so
Exactly.
you add on top of that, and the pyramid that they've built in terms of power doesn't even have a point, right? It's more of a circle that they just move in and out of these comps with. It's super interesting, the numbers behind it, because you see versions of it, not completely like we do, but that Orianna Janna combo is pretty common. They're both enchanters, as I did see a 7 splash there. I didn't see what specifically it was, but this comp is really, really fun to watch too. But again, we have the Seraphine, the Orianna, and the Taric again here, but it's not going to be as synergistic as what we just saw in that last comp.
Yeah. Oh my. Lumi Kev's board got absolutely demolished by the Syndicate's assassins jumping back there. And this is partly due to where the Socialite Hex was. Lumi Kev forced the Seraphine into that spot to get the value, but it was just way too vulnerable, and it goes out in 6th partly because of it. As we've had a few emissions so far, Tri-Fury wasn't able to get anything going with that cash out. Did go out in 8th, Danish 7th, Lumi 6th, and now Kuzma and a Bosso skills, and maybe even a common Quail. Icy as well, all are 14 HP or lower. Going to stage 6, we could see multiple eliminations here.
Yep, Common Quail has lost 1 time since stage 3. So that feels really good for him. Remember, he was at 19 HP when he cashed out his mercs. And we got to see the Jace, unfortunately, without the Frozen Heart. He was frustrated about that. But let's talk about what we see on our board right now, which is Icy. We're going to roll all the way down to our Bagel, which is 0. I love bagels. Yep. But are we going to put in our Colossus? No, we're still rolling. Probably for another Orianna. Unfortunately for us, literally, I think everyone else is running Orianna too. So it's going to need, I think, at least one more elimination to make it happen.
And just goes in the Orianna. Honestly, would have liked to see on I think this. I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter. It's not great either way. The Shaco is going to get stuck on a frontliner. Can the Braum get an ultimate off? He does. As the broken stopwatch comes through, the Shaco needs to get dealt with. Otherwise, this fight is not going to be good for Icy. Shaco still full HP, still has Bloodthirster shield. I think it's gonna be a wrap here. Jhin can't do it. No, he gets found in the corner. Icy goes down, but gets the top 4 as Bosso skills took a bit more damage there. And
yeah, your iced coffee take with this top 3 coming through.
I know.
By the way. Yeah, you bet $1 whole on it, it looks like. You strike me as someone who only bets minimums. But Common Quail now.
It depends on what it is. I like me some, some poker here and there,
Okay,
dabble and gamble.
I feel you. I like that. Look at all those golden units right now. For that reroll comp. Makes sense that it is doing well, but we do have our top 3. This comp has pretty much not changed at all since the last time we saw it, other than the Shaco 3. So that's a pretty big one there. But in terms of the surrounding units, it's all pretty much the same. The Yuumi is nice to have in this situation. Any type of CC, especially for a unit like Shaco, is going to be really nice. You get the CC in, and then you get the final ult off for Shaco. Hopefully that's enough damage. But who are we going to face? We did lose to somebody not too long ago, so I wonder if it was one of these comps. It's going to be the Lissandra in the backline this time. Rough ult from the Lissandra, so we'll see if that's going to mean make or break this comp right now.
Yeah, checking out both fights, seeing how his boards do against both players. Because the Common Quail did a Shroud for the other matchup, didn't necessarily Shroud for a Rat, but is still going to beat a Rat. Can Kuzma hang on with those protectors? No, I'm going to go out in third. But hey, my prediction of exactly top 3, it was there.
You're so smart.
I
It's
know,
crazy
I
that you can see
try.
the future like that.
I am a prophet. I will take credit. DMs are open. No, I'm just kidding.
Hashtag
But,
narcissism. No, it's true
just
though.
a
It's
healthy
true.
amount.
Hey, you know what? I am going to give you credit for something. You were probably the best D&D bard I've ever played with in my life. Just so you know.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, it's because it's true. So now that we have our top 2, we're probably, if things go according to plan for a Common Quail, I think this is his lobby.
Yep.
But we shall see. It's pretty interesting to see this Akali in the back line, and it's so funny because Akali's that 5-cost unit that I feel like is never there for you, but we got it pretty early on this time. We also have that Assassin Spat to help us out, as that's going to be another win for a Common Quail. And it should follow up another win here. This is probably going to be the last round. I don't think we're going to get to Shelly.
Probably not. I mean, I guess if the fight RNG is really good, we could go one more round. To Shelly, though, don't imagine. So what can a Rat do? I think that's the big question here. It's going to be positioned well, make sure the Shaco... Well, the Shaco gets enforced no matter what. He is the highest HP, I think, being tier 3. The Akali no item still does a bunch of damage, and a third Bramble for Common Quail. I think it's more so the denial of a Bramble there. I didn't actually see exactly how that carousel sequence went, but making sure that a Rat doesn't have Bramble, huge when it comes to Shaco and his damage output and not getting stuck on anything.
Mind games, right? And it's actually really interesting that we have a clear mind board getting potentially second place here. So not something that we got to talk about a ton, but if we see it again, I'm sure we are so much damage there. That was Jace. Tank Jace, by the way, but we do have some pretty good ults coming through. Shaco's just so strong against this particular group of units who are pretty rough against burst damage. It might seem like Common Quail might be having a little bit of a hard time here, and he actually might be, especially since we got that. Ooh, oh my goodness, Yumi's MVP! Yumi's no! Okay, so this is going to be it, but not the direction I thought it was going in, as Quail finishes in second. It's going to be a Rat, as the top 3 from before the sabbatical come raring back in this lobby, I think, finishing in the top 3.
Yeah, wow, what a game that was indeed. Well, I expected the Shaco 3, it was winning multiple rounds in a row to be able to, but the combination of getting enforced plus good Tom Kench roll on the Thieves gloves as well, being able to apply that Morello's, it's not a huge thing that you would really expect to make a difference in the fight, but I think that it did there. So let's go ahead and look at the scores after those 2 games, and this is a close one, Boop. I'm here for it. We like to see this. Icy in first, tied with a Common Quail, 14 points, and then we have in third, tied with 13 points, is Lumikev and a Rat. And then we have Bosso, Skills, and Kuzma also tied with 11 points. Then Danish Park in Tri-Fury B. It is going to be hard with the consistency of the top 6 to break into that, but it's still possible. Anything could happen in 2 games, of course. But Boop, what are your thoughts after these first couple of games? Anything
this
stand out to you?
This is a low scoring board.
Yeah.
Just in general, especially if you look at people like Lumikev and Arat here who swapped places. Icy and a Common Quail did the same thing. So while Danish and Tri-Fury might be far behind because of the rest of the lobby and how it's going, you never know. Tri-Fury might 10-10 the next couple lobbies, finish with 22 points and top 3, no problem. With that amount of points there. So the bottom of the leaderboard shouldn't feel as dejected as maybe it might feel right now, because 14 points is a very low first and second place point total for halftime.
I think we've seen actually 18 points get top 4 in a fight night over the course of 4 games. So even just getting to the money, it's still well within Tri-Fury's reach. It is hard to come back, mentally, gameplay-wise after a couple eighths, but we say it, I feel like every single time we're here, Boop, just because you get eighth doesn't mean you're out of the running. You can still come back. But we're going to have to wait a few moments until the potential to come back for Tri-Fury and Danish is there, because we're going to go to a quick break. But don't go anywhere. We'll return soon with more Fight Night Rising, brought to you by Wisdom. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Fight Night Rising, brought to you by Wisdom. So, Crowan and Boop here, giving you the action. We've had 2 games thus far, and a bit of a flip-flop in a lot of different players' scores. They've kind of traded, firsts and sixths, and, seconds and fourths, I believe, and then one other one as well. But still, the potential comeback for our bottom 2 is there with Tri Fury B and Danish Park. Maybe the comeback starts now. Maybe the Tri Fury was, anticipating towards the future, games 3 and 4. But we'll have to see. We've had some interesting
Playing
games thus
possum.
far. Definitely. We've had some interesting games. We've seen Assassins, both games actually, have a really good placement. Mercenaries cashing out, getting some good value, sometimes getting some not great value, but still, it's kind of what you'd expect out of Mercenaries, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. It's a fascinating score sheet, to be honest with you.
It
A lot
really
of
is.
people doing some flip flopping like it's summer already, but unfortunately for our bottom 2, they have not been able to participate, so they have to, right? Danish and blanking on Tri
I
Fury
hear you.
absolutely need to get a top 2 on this next lobby. It's going to be tough if we get another like prismatic opening, because I wanted to speak on the fact that the reason why we've gotten Syndicate Assassin twice is because we've gotten a ton of Syndicate Spats for some reason. And we were able to get to Syndicate 5 and Syndicate 7 in the last 2 lobbies. That might not be the case going into these new ones. We did see someone use Yordles to print some money, I believe, in that last lobby. No one finishing with it, but in terms of what has won out on these lobbies, it has definitely been those assassins so far. That last one wasn't even close, as I think Common Quail lost 1 round out of the last like 15 of that lobby.
Yeah, I believe Assassins both games getting exactly second place. I think both times. So respectable scores, able to pilot those Assassins to a top 2. 7 Syndicates, one with 5 Imperials. So both of the chase traits as well, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't usually be able to get to those chase traits. That's why they're, called chase traits. Maybe we'll see, the full triangle. We'll see all 3. We'll see Katarina be the main carry next time around. Who knows?
I had a really awesome Katarina game earlier today with Syndicate actually on her, so it could totally happen. We've got some AP items right now. It's nice after you start Prismatic. It's nice to kind of get a common one to start out when it's going to be Clockwork, and we already have 3 of them. So if we get one more Clockwork, that attack speed might be a tad insurmountable for our friends. And CC like Zillions this early on, actually game defining or round defining for the early rounds.
Yeah, definitely can be. I'm interested if a rat wants to go something like an Oriana carry, like Archangels can be good on her. Could get away with slamming a Frozen Heart. Definitely no Locket slams are going to come into play here. I think that's the most confident of a call that I'm ever willing to make in TFT, is the fact that people are not going to slam Locket. I say that, and the rat just says, you know what? I'm slamming Locket.
I haven't seen a Locket slam in forever. So it would be cool to see. I mean, experimenting during fight night is probably not the greatest tactic, but it sure is a tactic, right?
Yeah.
As we move over to Danish Park this time around, seeing some familiar names there. That's one of the, in terms of the donuts, that's actually one of the cool things about TFT is we all kind of move around streams at like the same exact time. Right, so it's just familiar faces. I'm pretty sure Bryce is in every TFT stream ever.
I think so too.
Yeah, I know, right? And I don't know. I think there's maybe a couple copies of him, but which would be awesome because he's awesome. So, Danish Park now, as I kind of stopped fangirling over Bryce.
You don't have to stop. You can keep going.
I mean, he's pretty awesome. He's a lawyer, a dad, and a top-ranked TFT player.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Fantastic caster as well. Like, what can't he do? Like,
exactly. He's someone that should make me mad, but I'm just going into it this time. These Arcanists now, with the Morellos early on. This is another kind of standard opening, right? If you think of chess in terms of openings, there's certain things that a lot of people just like to do every game, and this Arcanist opening is one of those situations, especially if you get that Morellos.
100% TF. Fantastic item carrier. 2 out of 3 Syndicate. Darius 2. Nice front line. Just needs like a Zyra in there, and that would round it out perfectly. But we're also 2 out of 3 Yordles. Could benefit from finding, a Vex and start printing money. I've heard printing money is pretty good in this game, Boop.
And in real life.
Sure, you use print money for yourself in real life? Wait a minute. I feel like
Wait,
that.
no. Wait, no. Printing money's not good because that means inflation.
Yeah, that means
Yeah.
that's yeah.
Yeah, but if I could print money personally, that would be good, but it would destabilize the dollar. So I'm not sure if that's actually a good plan. But in TFT, there is no dollar, just gold. So hopefully we can print some of that off. And hopefully it's environmentally friendly. The last thing I would want is for Runeterra to not have trees.
I mean, you print money with yordles. You just sell them back into the. Never mind. That's
okay. I have a very important question for you.
Okay.
What unit in TFT is the best example of a crypto bro?
Probably Garen.
Yeah, I didn't think of that, but I think you're right. I think you're right. Garen or Ezreal, right?
Ezreal, you think so? I can see it. I can see it actually. Yeah.
Well, Ezreal is like the person who's like retweeting Garen every time he posts.
True.
Right?
You're like, oh my god, Garen, you're so right. Like,
yeah, exactly. NFTs are my favorite mushroom, that's for sure. But let's see, we have an opening on a Protector comp. This is another nice little opening. Rageblade on Kog'Maw is one of those always good, but locks you into an auto attack based comp. So we'll see where that's going to end up, if it's going to stay on the Kog'Maw, because we'll always have the mutant flex that we can add once we hit level 5.
Yeah, definitely have some protectors, some snipers in here. Rageblade slams, I think, are a bit interesting because they don't generally work on that many carries. I think the only one that really comes to mind is Yone. Can make some decent use out of it. We'll see. Tri-Fury, of course, having a rough couple of first games, needs to make something happen. And they are lost streaking their way to, first pick and potentially some point in the day or in this game where they're going to go, 7 or 8, roll it down and just hit some good stuff that... Oh, actually, they might just reroll for Protectors, actually, with their start here. Never mind.
Yep. We just saw Protectors do very well in the last lobby. Not really game-winning, but is a very standard top 4 comp. I kind of like that 5 Syndicate situation. And like 7 Innovators gonna get you top 4, for example. Sometimes that just exists, as we do get another copy, at least, of our brother Garen.
Our bro.
I cannot unthink it now. It's like when you see the arrow in the FedEx logo.
Oh my god, I know.
I know, right? I just see the
genius logo design.
I see his profile picture like on Twitter right now. Like he has a whole coin himself. Like he's definitely pushing some type of Garen coin.
Yeah.
As we move over to the 3 mutants, I like this a lot better because we have the mutant buff now. Not quite sure what that was, but we also have the sniper buff. With the Rage Blade, you're going to be increasing that damage around 20% overall.
Yep. I guess if we pay really close attention, we can process elimination, figure out what the mutant is over time.
It's not the extra auto attack.
Yeah, I don't think it's that one.
Yeah, it's not Dark Star. It's not the growing one. Oh, it's cybernetic enhancement.
Hey, thanks for the hover, Tri-Fury.
Yeah, thanks, man. We would have never gotten.
I know. Like, there's nothing happening. There's no like, oh, I don't think it's the bottom one either.
Yeah. There's nothing happening. Well, basically, it's a free augment for your mutants, right? So if you actually get the cybernetic enhancement augment, that's a ton. Like, that's a Cho'Gath route if I've ever seen one. But we're gonna move into some potential innovators. Are we committing? That's the question.
Looks like the potential to commit to Shaco is already there. Already potentially flirting with the idea of selling this Ezreal, putting the Last Whisper on Shaco even right now. Doesn't have the 3 Syndicate. And this comp, I think, is still a bit better, right? You're farming gold, printing gold with the Yordles. The front line is very good between Poppy 2 and Darius 2. A nice, I think, reposition into the back line to protect versus Assassins. And yeah, the Twitch is going to get a little stuck for a moment there on to the Poppy and allow Ezreal time to get that damage off. Oh, yeah, there we go. Thrill diff as well.
Yep. That Ascension made things a little interesting. Also very interesting that we invested those components into the Chalice already. So for Kuzma, so that Chalice is locked in. We're gonna use AP units. Which ones? We don't know quite yet. As we print to Tristana. Where does it come from? Nobody knows. But it's here. And we're gonna go ahead and see what happens with these Krugs.
See what items pop on out of here. It could dictate a lot of the direction. Could dictate if we already pivot these items over to the Shaco. If some gold or units come in. A lot to be determined.
I don't know why. There's always like, I know I'm gonna beat Krugs. There's always a little bit of anxiety for some reason that I'm not at the beginning of the round.
Yeah.
I just got to be more confident in myself. As we have a jeweled gauntlet potential here, some gold.
Oh, sells the Shaco.
Yeah, we're gonna get to 30. We have a scrap route, right? 4 scrap is not terrible in the early game, but again, it's all about committing to it.
It would need to drop Yordles. I think the Infinity Edge Slam is very good. Can rod the Ziggs. I think that would be fine. Most situations. Icy, if they don't level up to 6 now, okay, I was going to say, if they don't level up to 6 now, they might just consider selling that Trundle, but they already do so. So no 4 scrap on the horizon, at least in the near future. But making decent econ, can't be too upset with this spot.
Ooh, got a friendly matchup too. Unless the Swain gets good positioning, is going to get some good healing off for these ultimates. But the shield falls right as that first ulti goes, and the Marilla's does tag the person that needs to get tagged, which is that Darius. But the Ezreal is starting to pop off. Remember, every time you see that Mystic shot, the attack speed goes up, and we already have that IE Last Whisper, which I hope never goes away in TFT. It should always be an item combination, in my opinion. The power of it might be different in certain sets, but IE, just like IE Jewel Gauntlet, IE Last Whisper is like a holding hand situation. The synergy there is just too good to ignore.
Yep, exactly. They're necessary items. You need armor shred sometimes if people are stacking things like, brambles, bodyguards,
Cho'Gaths.
You need to be able, just need to be able to get through that, right? Even still mutants, Cho'Gath with the metamorphosis, right? It will stack stats over the course of a fight. That's kind of one of the reasons that it was too strong, right? It stacked too much stats, and the Last Whisper wasn't enough to get through it. More kind of, I think, even spoken the fact that he wanted items like Last Whisper to be like direct counters to that.
Yeah, and I think that's good game design, personally. Not as cool as Build Different. I think that's one of the coolest things I've ever put in the game. Yeah. Regardless of how you feel about it or if you're good at it, that's some moxie there to put that in. But it's Ezreal versus Ezreal. Is more items better than less? Looks like our front line's a little bit better here for Lumi. So we're going to see the comp that we just saw lose on this round against something moderately similar. But we're coming back around into our Chemtech comp with our Scrap Splash. Good economy as well. This is a very good spot to be at round 3-3 as we get to our other augment. Lumi is our innovator player, so that could be a choice. Stand United item grab bag, both also not bad, but it's going to be the innovator augment, and we have some crab parties to go to.
Yeah, we do. There already were 2 innovators on the board, so it makes it an easy pickup, I think. Usually, if you didn't have 2 out of 3, it would have been like, it's a little bit too far. I don't have any singed, and if you're leveling up to 7 and 8 and you're trying to roll down and make sure you find a singed, that's not going to go well, a lot of the time. Unlikely to hit that. Maybe at some point, but you don't want to risk it. So, already having it, great call.
Lumi's last augment's going to be very important. It's going to decide if we run 5 or 7 innovators, for example. So are we going to land on a potential tome? That could be really nice. We actually didn't need it the last time we hit that 7, so I'm over exaggerating a little bit. Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's going to be a lot easier once we get to that other augment to really see which route Lumi is going to take, as we have another Ezreal coming through. Very, very popular unit in this in general, but in this lobby right now seems to be taken over some losses, because the last 2 out of the last 3 Ezreals look like they've been struggling a tad, but with the Archangel's Ionic on the Camille there, it's very, very obvious that that's not going to stay there for long.
Yeah, just a really good item carrier. It might have been enough with that Singe flip to win the fight. Oh, overtime hits. Ooh, barely. That was a real nail biter, real close one. But Lumi comes out on top and gets to protect this win streak as they go into stage 3 carousel.
3 spatulas, so
one of Seraphine.
Yep, and so the tactician crowns are all of a sudden potentially there. We've got other types of units. We've seen a lot of syndicate spats. We've seen a lot of assassin spats so far. we're at least going to get 2 picked up. Very interested to see where that might go, as Lumi is not going to get the crit glove and now is stuck with either a dead spatula or a bow. I don't like picking up spats when I don't have any other items. It's a little too risky, but in this situation, if you're Basso, getting the Seraphine is just nice at this point in time. So you're only one away from a Seraphine 2 at level 6.
That spat could... What would it want to become in this situation? I mean, I don't think this composition is really... I guess I'll say, fleshed out. It could pivot into other things. It could pivot into Oriana. It could continue to be just like a flexible 3 innovator or 3 socialite board, and you throw in another carry like Jin. I think we saw that one last time around. It did go bot 4 though, but hopefully Basso can pick up another full item for the Seraphine, so that when the Seraphine 2 does come through, the spatula then pops off.
Yo, this Ziggs is popping off.
Yeah,
by the way, so we'll see if it's going to continue
next Seraphine
doing
ult, though?
A lot extra work. This Seraphine ult
is going to be big.
Ooh, bad direction, though. This isn't over. The ZZ Rot's actually going to be a big deal. Ziggs versus Seraphine. Here we go. If Seraphine gets to the ult, it's going to be the Seraphine's game. Oh, my goodness. The arc on the bomb. Too much. Too much for Party Hat Ziggs. But again, goes to show how good that double chalice is. It is an item that you can stack, but you have to commit to it with that with those tiers, for example.
Yep, got to commit to it, but the chalices are still going to be decent. We even see a chalice on both boards, right? Basso Skills has one as well, and that was a part of why the Taric, heals were big enough to let that round be a win, and Seraphine had enough damage. Even playing 2 Seraphines now, perhaps. Interesting going into the first round.
She's the innovator, so we'll see if we see some team innovation right now. This is a winnable matchup for sure. We're already on a 3-game streak. 6 people tagged with the first Morellos. Let's see where the second Seraphine ult is going to land. Are we gonna? Oh, that one kill. Make sure that the angle that the second Seraphine ult goes into was perfect. Are we on Summoner's Rift? That feels broken.
Yeah, this looks pretty strong.
Yeah. Where are we going to go with that spat? It's kind of like what I'm still thinking here.
There's not really any appealing options for it, honestly, besides a Tactician's Crown. Just to be blunt. I mean, we can maybe make use out of having like a pseudo or like a dual carry between Seraphine and say someone like a Fiora, maybe, and then go like Challenger or Academy. Academy Seraphine sounds pretty good if we're forced to, make that Seraphine 2 while the spatula is still there.
Yeah. Maybe we get another spatula, though, and patience will make us a little bit more successful. All right, this is going to be a pretty big item round here. No gold orbs just yet. No spatulas. And we've got some good choices now for the spat, but they're all going to change because we've got Pandoras. But we do have a Jewel Gauntlet now, so...
Yep.
But we have a spat on the other Seraphine. This is where things get pretty confusing as we move over to Common Quail, who's running Syndicate again, trying to reach that race trait with that 7 Syndicate potential.
Shaco 2, big pickup. Exactly what he needed. Also needs a Braum. That's, I think, why Common Quail is, or partly why he's rolling down so aggressively right now. Has Exiles... And it's going to make Last Whisper... Is he going to slam the Hodge? No, not going to do so. Just going to leave the glove there for now. Already has an Akali on 7, though, so that's not bad. Finding a Braum is a lot easier to round out this comp.
100%. Getting the Akali at 4-1, even at the Akali one, is just super nice to have. Like I said before, it's just, for some reason, a notoriously frustrating unit to find. But it is going to be another win for our Syndicate player. I think this is the second Syndicate game for Comic Quail. It might be the third. Not sure specifically what he ran in that first lobby, but this is looking good. I mean, if we're able to get to 7 Syndicate, we saw him lose 1 round out of like 15 with that comp.
Yeah.
The units are a little different this time around, but should have a pretty similar result. Winning the lobby might be a tad difficult, just like it was last time around, but getting that top 4 is almost guaranteed with that Syndicate 7.
Well, even rolling into potential Zyra 3, a bit of a strange decision, I guess I'll say, because a lot of that gold, I think, needs to be prioritized towards finding things like that Braum or that Shaco 3. Zyra 3, the impact that she has, the stun only goes up by like a little duration. I think it's like either 0.5 seconds or maybe 1 second, but even still. Okay, that was good. That was a good ult though with the Zyra and then the Akali coming right through. That was some big damn.
Oh man, one of my things when I was a teacher that I loved doing was cutting laminate. When you can just slide the scissors through.
Oh yeah, it's
yeah, so nice. That is
yeah.
exactly what Akali did just then. Gave me the same kind of feeling. Unfortunately for Common Quail, that is not what he experienced. No, that is what he experienced.
Yeah.
But his opponent unfortunately had to suffer through it, as we have no money. So this is the one thing that might keep us down, as we move on through this game. As other people start tier 3ing those units, as other people start getting tankier, this might start struggling. So we have to keep winning, right? Because we have to get the economy to get back into economy, right? And we're also still running for that Zyra 3. Worked out last time, but Zyra is one of those frustrating units, kind of like Ziggs, that you just don't really want at the free throw line.
It also feels like Common Quail is doing a bit of tilt rolling right now. I don't think he needs to be rolling down literally every single bit of gold that he has besides for Syndicate units, because he's still winning these rounds. Might not win every single round, but he can make it until after Raptors, still with a solid HP point, and have a lot more gold to then, hit the Shaco 3, Zyra 3, things like that. Even this loss to a Fiora 2 with 2 really strong items isn't that bad. It is only 4 units, it's not like it was a complete wipe. So I'm not a fan of Common Quail's decision making here.
I agree with you, because the fact of the matter is that he could lose all the way to Wolves from that point, or Chickens from that point, and still be in the game, and maybe even have not even be in like 7th place. He might still be in 6th place at that point. So the downside of waiting, I don't think was enough to roll that money, if that makes sense. As Akali is going to wear some hats here. Those are party hats. Those chalices are what we call party hats, because if you flip them over, they look like birthday hats.
Or ice cream cones.
Yeah, or ice cream cones. What's your favorite ice cream, Quan?
Favorite ice cream? Ooh, good question. Probably, is it so basic to say like cookies and cream ice cream?
No, because it's got to mix in.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's probably my go-to.
I like whatever like crazy, those ice cream shops with like those crazy flavors and stuff that like.
Oh yeah, I don't even remember all those half the time. Like
one.
There might be one of those that's my favorite. I just don't remember it.
But if I have to choose one like flavor just in general, what deserves a salted caramel? As we have a Garen walk in there. And we now finally get to use the Hex, because we can put someone in there that won't get hooked by Blitzcrank. So we can finally use the Socialite Hex, and it's nice because we finally got the 3. The comp on the other side is going to be full of bears, but unfortunately, I think it's going to look a little bit more like a Care Bear than like a Vol Bear in this particular comp. But I could be wrong. I always undervalue Innovator Strength. I don't know why, but it is something that, in my mind, I'm notorious for.
Gotcha. This board is not amazing. The Gallia won with just 1 item. It's not like it's a Clapio fully all-line or anything. The Seraphine is putting in a lot of work. Not quite the round win. Also, quickly going back to why Quail is rolling down so hard, it is kind of because he has Hyper Roll. So he's going to be regenerating Econ if he is below 10 gold per round. I still, however, think that being said, it's probably better to just buy the units, hold them on the bench, and then once he can sell up to 30, do that, and then roll after Raptors. But we have a bit of understanding why it's more reasonable for him to do what he did.
So this is, I think, a really good question for everyone in TFT. Is it okay to waste an augment at this point in the game? Right?
I think in some situations, yeah, sure. You're going to get, like, say in the Hyperroll example, like, you get value, you probably got value a lot in the early game, right? And this is the point where you have to think, like, what's going to be more valuable? Me rolling it down, trying to find a Braum every turn, get, that extra 2 gold from Hyperroll? Perhaps, but with the HP lead that he had, he could be overall making more econ, still make the +2 every round until he gets back up to 20 and 30, and then just make more gold. There's arguments for both, I think, but losing augment value shouldn't always dissuade you of making some choices. Yeah.
Same thing with the Socialite Hex. Just because you have one doesn't mean you should use one. And just to kind of pontificate a little bit more on what you're saying, there are common augments that people bail on, like Mercenary.
Yep.
for example. So it's not something that is, insane to do during one of these games. It's just you have to make that call, and TFT players are notorious for min-maxing. Right, so it just hurts not to use that augment or that socialite hex, but maybe, just maybe, it is a good idea for that round. We can use our Nikos for Victor there. We'll see if that is going to be the case. And this is a unit, Fiora, who's like, yeah, just hook me, please.
Yeah.
So she can get into the back line. Actually might be helpful when it comes to getting hooked from that socialite hex, because she needs to get there. And basically, Blitzcrank would deliver her potentially to the back line just to ult and redo all her strength. So someone like Fiora is not going to find a lot of fear from a Blitzcrank as opposed to like a Seraphine.
She might get bursted, right? There's no like GA. There's not really any healing coming through, not even with the 3 socialite, because 3 socialite isn't there yet. Does level to 8. And here we go. The roll down commences. Not going for Fiora 3. But maybe he wants to get a Scion frontline, and there we go. Hits one. Needs to take out a unit, though. There we go.
It's so funny. It's always like, sometimes you just test the game, like, real quick.
Yeah, just like,
right?
Can you just let me do this?
Yeah,
no.
You just do it, and you're just like, okay. And I think that was just one of those situations. Like trying to feed Tom Kench twice. Like, can I? But i.e. Jill Gauntlet now, this is old school Fiora. I love things like GA on her, but hey, what we literally talked about just happened. Blitzcrank pulled her, she kills the Blitzcrank immediately, and now look at where she's at, right? The second ult is going to destroy this comp.
Yep. Boom. IE, Jeweled Gauntlet combo. Oh, Fiora is such a strong unit. So much damage. Gets delivered to the back line. Takes out the Jhin. Takes out the Galio soon after. And these are really good items for the Seraphine. She's going to be able to apply Morello's, get attack speed to the team. Even with that Chalice, be a bit of a support there, too. Even more than just buffing attack speed.
All right, so consistency is key. Unless you try Fury, friends, as he finishes in 8th place again, unfortunately. However, fourth lobby, the 7th or 8th place person always wins. Always.
True,
it's
or
like
at least top 2s, but yeah.
And it's probably the most legitimate of the things that we talk about.
Yeah, like 4th lobby curse,
fourth
or
lobby
like,
curses.
yeah.
I feel like it's like 80% of the time. That's like totally made up stat, but I do feel that it's true. As
it's
Kuzma
close.
now.
It must be.
Running with a good combo here and a little bit of extra AP, even though we get Zephyr'd, the extra AP is already going to be there, and we just deliver a little bit of mana at the same time. We have to burst down the Fiora right now as it's getting CC'd. Is the Victor going to be able to do it? No. Oh, but now it's going to be a second ultimate and the Ascension. It's still not over, especially with the Victor 2.
Oh,
not
gets the ult.
Enough damage. Oh, another ult there, but it's all about timing when it comes to that Fiora, right? If you don't burst her down, you don't win the round. Oh,
exactly. That's a good one. That's a little nice jingle there.
Yeah, that was on accident.
Gotta copyright that one. We gotta.
I know, right?
all the HPs are getting really close. There's 21 in 3rd place with Kuzma, down to 5 for Lumi Kev down there in 7th. But somehow, some way, Common Quail rolls it down every turn, finds the Braum, finds the Shaco 3, never punished. Still sitting on a healthy HP amount, 32.
This is a much weaker 7 Syndicate board that Quail had last round, but you're going to see that it's not really going to matter here, because we had a colleague too at this point for a couple rounds last time with no items, if you remember, but the itemization not as good. But we do have the Shaco with the IE Last Whisper, and you're already seeing all of that damage. The Zyra, if able to get into the back, ult the back line, is going to enable the Akali. It's some good synergies here, and these tier 1 units don't care about how much health you have, especially if you've got the Shaco 3 to back you up.
I kind of wish you could see my face right now. I'm looking at Boss Skills board, and my face is just a big question mark. There was a transitional turn, right? I understand that. There was like a Jinx in the back line holding a Banshees and a Chalice, and then a Victor next to her holding a couple items. you know, not sure what to make of that board. Well, it does live on 1 HP as we have 2 more eliminations, right? At least that
Yep.
consistency once again for Danish Park. A 7th place. Lumi Kev, though, falling closely behind in 6th, almost to our top 4.
Innovators, unfortunately, probably didn't get to the 7. But Syndicate 7, I will bet will always top 4 if we get there.
Yep.
It's the first comp we ever won with, actually, on this set, back in PBE days, was Syndicate 7.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know. Weird memory. Comic Quail now going to keep rolling down, sell a couple units to give us a couple more rolls.
Brom.
There's that Brom. We're only 1 gold away, though. We have to win the round. We also are only 1 away from the Zyra 3. For a Hyperroll comp, I'm just so happy we have at least 1 tier 3 unit, because we are actually kind of far away from the others. But the one is all that matters, which is that Sheikah, who actually avoids the Shroud. Double Archangels on the Orianna. Rough ultimate on the Orianna as well. So doesn't matter how much extra AP you're going to have from that if the ult is just not good. But there's really not a ton of HP here, mitigation, because the one thing that Shaco can potentially get stuck on, other than a Bramble, is someone with just a ton of HP, not necessarily a ton of armor. Cho'Gath is who comes to mind, but we don't have one in the lobby. The Shaco is kind of do whatever you want.
Very much so. Scion with the Bramble, right? But he was the front line. He just jumps right past it. Has good positioning. Yeah, Basso skills, as I kind of anticipated, I think, with that board, did go out in 5th. So our top 4 is solidified for game number 3. A Rat up there with 63 HP.
Hey,
and as you kind of, as you kind of called, Boop, a Rat, as the day continues, a lot better placements. Went from a 6th, to a 1st, and he's already top 4 and again. So might actually start locking in his 7th week in a row.
Yep. Man, that Zyra Akali combo, so good. The Shaco doing its work. Love seeing all these Oriannas, by the way. Love that unit. One of my favorite units just in general. And it's just one of those units that doesn't necessarily work without the team around it. But if you get that team around you, you can feel invincible. As Yuumi 2 is going to get an extra unit out here. Let's see if that's going to be how much HP we're going to save from it. We have 9 HP, so we're going to get eliminated the next time we lose. Unfortunately, that 1 extra unit wasn't enough, as it's going to be Static Shiv, which is a fine item at this point in the game. It's AoE, it's going to help the Galio do a little bit more damage, but it's also going to help that Orianna do a ton of damage too. And honestly, a little bit more from the Misfortune.
Probably just stick it on the Ori, in fact, give her... Oh, actually, never mind. This is binary airdrop. Just kidding. So not going to want to stick that there. Maybe on the Misfortune then. She's going to benefit a little bit from that attack speed and mana. Jhin already having 3 items. Not getting any binary value. But that's okay.
All right. So we don't get the 5-cost unit. We are rocking our clockworks. This has been a 4 clockwork comp, I believe, since round 2-1. Because this was a clockwork augment on the first one. So double Archangels, Quicksilver, so Blitzcrank not an issue. That's why a lot of people don't like corner socialite hexes. Sometimes it feels like that's the best place, but because of things like Blitzcrank, it's a pretty awful place to be. Easily countered, especially with the Zephyr combo there. Again, that's how easy it is to counter socialite hexes. Just in general, you can actually bait yourself into a loss. So the Zephyr combo with the Blitzcrank, so good, and it does open up a potential round win for us, as this is going to be a Jhin comp versus Jhin comp, and it looks like a Rat's going to take it on the Jhin instead.
Yeah, that was a Zephyr and Blitzcrank diff right there. The Blitzcrank would not have hooked the Ori because she has Quicksilver, would have just been nullified. But the Zephyr means that the Jhin right there, next one in line. Unfortunate stuff. But 5 Innovator, 4 Clockwork on the board for Rat. Still has some good HP as well. Kuzma goes out in 4th. A Rat has nearly locked up a top 2, it seems here. But a Common Quail rolls, hits, is on a win streak, might be at least top 2ing again with Syndicates for the 2nd game in a row.
Yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? I mean, if the game's telling you to do it, might as well keep doing it. And we have the Zyra 3. Whoo-wee! And that Akali ult was gnarly. It doesn't even get through to the HP on the Shaco. Oh, this is looking a little rough. We got to get better CC, and unfortunately, the CC is actually better for the assassins right now. I believe that's a ghost too, so it's Common Quail going to be doing a little bit better against the Galio. It doesn't actually look like it. The Galio taken a little bit too much. I think the binary airdrop helping a lot here too, but is it enough? The answer is no, especially once we get into overtime. The Icy gets eliminated. That was actually pretty close. Common Quail needed that elimination, I think, to guarantee a possible first place, but man, the backline is just so important for a rat with that Zyra 3. I don't really see it surviving all that much. I almost want to put those backliners or split them up so the game hasn't decide which row Zyra ults, because the Akali is killing them. No problem.
Yeah, they're both being clumped. I think you're right, Boop. I think a rat has to identify that, hey, there's no blitzcranks there. Let's split my carries. Okay, gonna split them a little bit. Still in the same row, however, though. So Zyra, oh no, Kali's one side, Shaco the other side. Okay, Jhin is safe for now.
Yep, did not get tagged, so much better. So this is, again, why positioning is such a big difference. But the Zyra ult does what we predicted it would do, right? Which would take down a little bit too much in the back line. However, the Jhin is alive, and that's all you need to have hope. And we have to walk down to the Jhin. The Kali's gonna get one ult off, trying to make it a little bit exciting, but it's going to require a little bit more positioning. But that should show a rat that the positioning is going to affect the way that this lobby plays out.
Let's see if there's any adaptations made into the next round. See what they both grab. A rat gets the shroud. That's going to be a good pickup. Common Quail grabs the sword on a Jace. Looking for just a Jace too. Isn't going to find it. But, might as well put the Jason with a sword. Going to be a bit of better stats. If a rat... Okay, rats found Jace too, so upgrades come through. Maybe Jhin on the Socialite Hex and then Seraphine in third row, so both of the units, like you were kind of calling out, won't get Zyra'd. That might be the best chance that a rat has to come back here, because the Common Quail might just run away with the game and take it here this round.
But we're just going to go ahead and depend on the shrouds, as both Seraphine and Jhin get tagged by Akali. We get CC'd. We have to push the damage in now. It has to come through. The Jhin is trying to make it. Bloodthirster. Oh, this is working, friends. The Bloodthirster is starting to make it happen. Shaco has to be the next one to fall, but he's going to ult. This is going to be a little close. The Zyra might actually be the thing that wins the round. And we have a little bit of extra attack speed now because of the Jace. And that is going to be a Quail win. I wish the rows were separated. The Zyra, I think, was a little underestimated there for a rat. But, he tried his best. The round before that, I think, should have been enough of a hint. But unfortunately, that time around, we kept all of our units in the back row and pretty much just handed it to Zyra ults.
I mean, I think that a rat's thought process there was, hey, I'm going to move all my items over to a Jace 2 as a frontline, so even if the Zyra lands the ultimates, my Jace will still tank long enough, and he nearly did. The Shaco almost went down. That was actually really close to a round win. It just was barely not enough. As a Common Quail, I mean, with that one, let's go ahead and look at the scores, see where he's at. Yes, he is indeed in first place, 24 points. Icy, though, also very consistent throughout the day. Got to give some props there. 21 points, tied with a rat, who's also at 21. And then it goes Kuzma at 17, Lumikev at 16. Also Skills at 15. Danish Park at 6. And Tri-Fury B, the 888. Can it be an 888, Boop? Or is it going to be...
Oh, I thought that's a Tri-Fury 8. That's so funny.
Sorry,
that was mean. I'm sorry.
I'm
sorry. Yeah, I'm
sorry.
It was
probably one of the most savage jokes I've ever heard you say on Fight Night, actually. Holy.
Sorry. No, it's just unfortunate, especially since, you come in, you're super excited. You're definitely trying to prove yourself. And now is the time, right? We're in that last lobby. Now is the time to do what you need to do. The pressure's off, right? So you got to challenge, regardless of what your results are when it comes to Danish and Tri-Fury. This next lobby is, recency bias is a thing too. It's going to be the thing a lot of us will remember. So what's the key here, right? Maybe taking some assassins away from Quail. That's been 3 lobbies in a row so far. What's something else that we can do? It seems like Icy's been playing super consistently. There's been no AP, for example. So there are a couple different things that we can do to change the way that we're playing this game that might actually challenge the rest of the lobby as well.
Yeah, something that's caught my eye at least is when players are playing AP. There was that one game of Lux that I believe went 7th, but besides that, it's like, no, I'm just gonna use AP on units like Orianna or Seraphine, and they're going to, be my carries. Not gonna rely on going traditional Arcanist route. And I think that's oftentimes worked out better. Orianna and Seraphine improved themselves as very good carries. But I think assassins are definitely, at least syndicates assassins are proving why they are in fact very good in this meta. I think a second place and a first from a common quail, super impressive, well played. Even with me, not totally agreeing with the way a common quail played, I think you happen to hit the Shaco 3. It was the correct move, right? Can't doubt it because the results speak for themselves.
All right, so what is going to happen in this last lobby? I'm so excited for it, especially since almost everyone is eligible for the top 3. A lot of people, there's money involved in the top 4, right? Yeah. But in my opinion, just like on 1st or 8th, I'd rather get a spatula than $500. That's not true in reality.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't agree, but more power to you.
For this point, it is that, as we go into the last lobby, sometimes it's like, I know that first place is $100. I'm in 4th right now. What's the best play, right? Do I go for the win or do I go for that top 4? Because I'm in 4th and I top 4. I might not actually make it into that top 3. So you've got a lot of kind of like gymnastics to do in terms of how you want to go into the next lobby.
Yeah. Definitely a lot of, maybe reapproach, kind of evaluating not only what comps people have played, but also their styles, like how many people are playing Yordles early, how many people are playing Mercs. Can you get away with a win streak opener versus, going for open fort? There's a lot of things to factor in over the course of a tournament, right? And 4 games is enough of a sample size to start picking up on those trends. We'll see how that does manifest itself. It's not like first is locked in by any means, Boop, right? There's still a 3-point gap between a common quail and Icy and a rat, both of them at 21 points. But also, everyone, in the top 6 can be shuffled around pretty heavily. Bosso skills the first place could definitely, even a second place can lock into, a top 2, top 3 as well.
Yeah, one, Tri-Fury, I love you, man. I just love what you're doing right now, by the way. Like, you're the type of player that I would love to play games with, by the way. So, that's why I went a little hard. But anyway, we do have a little bit of an update here. If you realize someone named Yenwei, we had to have a little bit of a fill. Unfortunately, Dennis could not finish the round with us. And that's
what
Tri-Fury's like, now I can't get 8th. Man, I love that dude.
Take it in stride, right? Not getting tilted by it,
exactly.
Just having fun. Some days just don't go your way, right? And there's 2 options. You can be tilted by it and be really mad, or you can just roll with the flow and be like, hey, it happens, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, anyway, like, because I definitely am an internalizer, right, when I do poorly. Like, last week I got eliminated in, like, the second round of a tournament, and it affected my whole day, Yeah. But, like, I wish I could be a lot more like that. But, Tri-Fury now is going to be competing for the spoiler role. Same thing with Yenwei. I think if Yenwei is going to participate, I don't know what like the rules for the sub thing are. We'll find out as we play through this game. There's a common quail is the person we're all looking up with, and we have so small picket.
I don't.
Let's see Yordles.
Oh god,
that's probably weak spot. But he's been playing a lot of
spot.
Syndicates. But no Yordles for quail.
I don't think this actually happened on a fight night before. It's actually happened in like large tournaments where someone either no-showed or couldn't continue or whatnot. But for a fight night, I don't think this has happened before. So
I hope everything's okay.
Yeah, true.
I'm like that worried dad when things like that happen. I get a sore throat and I'm like, I'm dying.
So it's kind of person who reads WebMD is like, all right, I'm dead tomorrow, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you read one of those articles and you're like, am I dead right now? Is this a dream? But yeah, don't ever look at your symptoms on the internet.
Yeah, not a good time if you don't know what.
Even health articles are there for clicks, friends. That's one of those things I had to learn as an adult, as we have some amazing AD items.
Yeah, fantastic. Can go into a bunch of different compositions. Kuzma has a gold start, I believe, because that is just 2 items on the bench. unless one of them is being hidden. I don't think that's the case here, though. Could play Ezreal for a scrap, put an item onto that Trundle. Just gonna be Frozen Heart Slam on the Alawi. And I actually like Frozen Heart Slam. Tier has so many good items that it can make Vest a lot less so, but you don't really need Tier for any specific items unless you're going for Arcanists or you really want a redemption. So having the value right now, it's gonna be value throughout the whole game. I love the Slam personally.
Quick question: does RFC increase the range of Zack's ult an extra hex? Because it's the furthest 2 people away within 3 hexes. Because
I don't think it will, but honestly, I don't think I've ever seen an RFC Zac, or at least I haven't processed it, so I couldn't tell you. I don't think so.
That'd be some cool backline access. I don't know, some innovation might be at play, Tri-Fury. So if someone wants to try it,
yeah.
Kuzma now is going to be who we're running with, and I totally agree with you. It's the Frozen Heart. It's like compensation. You're getting less potential value from Tier to increase your value from the Vest, right?
Yeah, and you get it right now.
Exactly. And I was like, what's happening? And then so Yenwei is just gonna tank all of these, so he doesn't take any of the units, for example. So everyone is going to be competing with extra opportunity, at least on these first 1 and 2 costs, because someone's not technically playing. Icy now. This would be the lobby to run Yordles, is pretty much what I just said.
Yeah, it's kind of an awkward lobby to want to go full Lost Streak, because obviously if you run into them there with open forwarding, you're not going to be able to lose that matchup, unless you're also open forwarding. And I think what happens if it's a full open board versus a full open board, it's just RNG who actually gets the credit for the loss there versus the win. I think I ran into that one before and was like, oh, I won the RNG, the coin flip. Feels good.
I feel like I lose like every coin flip I ever participate in.
That's just memory bias or whatever it's called. You just remember the bad ones, don't remember the good ones.
If you ask my friends around me, like I have good like life luck, but when it comes to like card game and TFT luck, it's pretty bad. Like there was a card in a card game once that did 5 damage to you when you drew it, and then it did 5 damage to you when it died. And then I used another card that would cast spells every time you cast a spell, and I got 3 of them on my board, 15 damage to myself. That's the type of luck I get in gaming. But hopefully Icy is going to get a little bit more of that as we do run those Yordles. So small is one of those requirements, I think, to run those Yordles. It gives you set 1 Yordle kind of shenaniganeries. We're going to start with a pretty open item, which is that Crit Glove.
Yep, not contested as well on that first item choice. Let's see what the other players are going to pick up. Still a couple players at 100 HP. It is going to be Basso Skills and Kuzma. I think Basso Skills was level 5, if I saw that correctly. Yes, they are. So aggressive leveling pre-carousel. Excuse me, it can work out some of the time, especially if you're able to maintain that streak all the way through stage 2.
We're still printing some of those Yordles. No tier 2 Yordles just yet, but that's because we just want to make some money. Sometimes, you get a little ahead on the Yordles and you kind of transition into it because the packs, like one pack gives you 3 poppies, for example, right? And sometimes it's just like, let me just play it for right now, because if you're able to tier 3 those 1-cost Yordles, it's guaranteed 2 and 3 gold. For that printing, but that's a pretty big investment. I don't know if you're ever going to make that gold back if you do it, unless you kind of get some nice orbs and some friendly packs.
Yeah, generally players will do that where they get all the tier 3 like Poppies, Ziggs, Lulu, and Tristana, right? If they're going a reroll Tristana board, and then they can farm a Heimerdinger or a Vex every single round, but generally not if you're not running that Tristana carry, as Icy goes up against Tri-Fury B, who once again, we see an Ezreal with 2 really, really strong items. Last Whisper, IE, those are your go-to AD items. Fantastic stuff. I actually want to talk about the item-specific choices for a moment, because while those items are very good, probably best for Jhin, they don't work quite as well on, say, like, let's give Yone for an example, right? Yone will specifically want other items. Runeant's a lot more valuable on Yone and on Urgot. So if it's not an early Runeant slam, you can kind of guess that the transition wants to be a Jhin most likely, and we've seen a lot of that throughout the day. But if not that, Shaco can work as well if players are going for that kind of route.
All right, so we at least get some units or gold, depending on if Basso clears something off the bench. Guaranteed gold if he gets it right now. If he thinks that it's going to help, if he's feeling lucky, right, and thinks a unit's going to pop out that he's going to need, then someone on the bench needs to get cleared out.
It's going hyper roll. That's why the aggressive leveling gains 2 gold every single round. If you're under 10.
Mm-hmm.
Urgot in the shop. Interesting. Urgot with Shiv. Good unit.
Yeah. I got destroyed by a triple Shiv Urgot not too long ago.
Triple Shiv Urgot, really? Wow.
Yeah. Pikachu Urgot, like for real. Or Shredder, as it's also known as, when it was the reroll Zaya back in set 3.5 or 3.
Yeah, they were different builds. I think the Shredder was like the Last Whisper, and the Pikachu was the Shiv like rage version of it.
Yeah. Because it was part of Candyland too at one point.
Was the Zaya part of Candyland?
I think so. It was Zaya Zoe Pop ETF, right?
Didn't think so, but you might be right. It's a long time ago.
Also,
I don't remember what I ate for breakfast yesterday.
Ripped those units off real quick, man.
Yeah.
I don't know where my keys are, but I know what Candyland was in set 3. That's great. Thanks, Brain. So we're going to get the Morellas onto the Vi. It's actually a pretty good choice. Another frontline choice for Chalice as well, but there's no really good AP options to have that happen. But we're going to go ahead and put it on the Kog'Maw and leave our Trundle in the back line for this reason. Right here for that Blitzcrank.
4 bruisers are in. The gold that Basso Skills got during that neutral round, well, it was 4 gold and a Mundo. Would have been another 4-cost unit if there was actually an open slot on the bench, but there wasn't. Kuzma still win streaking. Fiora on the bench. I'm kind of curious what's going on with that board. That's interesting. And yeah, Yenwei is a little FF, so we just have 7 players in the lobby. And Tri-Fury gets at least 7th place. Feels good, man.
You know what I was thinking? If Tri-Fury was to duo with anybody, I hope it's Les Cardax. Could you imagine?
That sounds pretty good, pretty perfect.
Yeah,
actually.
I know. Right? I have been known in my
clicks.
life as a matchmaker. Gonna put that out there.
Have you? Oh, okay.
Yeah. I helped 2 of my friends start dating back in college, and they're married now. They have a kid. They have a whole kid.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. So, Lumi Kev now at 68 HP. This is a much more standard kind of spread of HP, even though we did have someone drop out early because we did have someone leave. This HP spread is actually pretty good. Icy at 54. 3-2 means that we're definitely lose streaking. For Lumi Kev, we've definitely been lose streaking a little bit. We kind of want to keep losing because we're going to get our extra economy for the next one. The world's worst misfortune ult as well, and we're gonna lose a lot of HP. That's not the type of HP you want to lose in that situation, especially with a unit like Misfortune that can set up some unit takedowns.
Yeah, it was really close to the Shaco going down, but not quite. Now we get our second augment choice: item grab bag, weak spot, or hyper roll. Probably not hyper roll for Lumikev's spot. Probably on the other 2, weak spot, not super valuable. And grab blag also could be bad. So weak spot it is. It's just, the silver tier augments. They're not anything really exciting.
Mm-hmm. And that's why I like using generalized augments at tier 1, right? The celestial blessings, the weak spots, for example. It's not a lot, but at least your whole team is getting it. A tier 1, mercenary heart, for example, might be nice, but again, you're going to be pretty much throwing that away later on. Yeah. At least with these particular augments, you're going to be able to get team-wide benefits every single time. Ascension weak spot, there are combinations that we like better than that, but you never know. If this is a slower lobby and the unit kills aren't really coming very fast, once we do ascend, that weak spot is going to find even more value as it's going to be able to do a lot more damage once we do ascend.
Yep. That is true. Great point. These mercenaries Getting 7-0'd puts Lumikev in a tough spot. Playing Mercenaries, of course, you want to have the best losses possible, and that was far from it. Lumikev being super greedy as well, like not leveling to 6 on 3-2, not putting another MF in the board, and that's probably going to come back. Well, I'll just say outright, I think is a bit of a misplay. I think even just having the extra misfortune to take down, 2 or 3 units, which I think would have happened both fights, is worth the loss of a couple of gold. The HP differential, 42, pretty low. We're going to get down to like 30 if Lumikev doesn't like go all in to go 7 right now. Even lower, bro, maybe like in the mid 20s by the time we get to 4-1. And at that point, do you want to go all in at 4-1 or wait until 4-2, right? 4-1's an awkward interval. You're not having much gold to roll down with. It's real weird. Unless you're doing it at level 7, and then comes the problem where you're stuck at level 7. You've got to grief your chances of going 8 for a very long time. Unless your cash out happened to be like, huge gold amounts, then you can maybe recover. But
yeah, 0 gold at level 7 is a little bit of a curse.
Yeah.
You never want to get trapped at level 7. It might feel okay. You actually, when that happens, it's usually because you've leveled to 7 at like 3-5, like we just did. But you have to be on a streak if you do that, right? So you can recoup that gold pretty quickly. Tri-Fury on a 5-game win streak, and should be another one here. Built different, I believe, is the augment there. It is specifically for the innovator pet. Once we do get to the dragon, that'd be very, very nice. And we're very close to the bear, so all we need is one more innovator, and it looks like we've got the easy ones. We've got the Singed, we've got the Heimerdinger, we've got the Ezreal, so now we're looking at the Seraphine to get our innovator 5.
Yeah, this is nice edge and some decent positioning to get, value out of it. Also, who's this guy? New and improved Tri-Fury B. 6 win streak going into Wolves. Not a ton of econ, but we've seen time and time again on fight night in competitive TFT in general. Yeah, it's
happening.
I'll bring up that point too. I was gonna say, we've seen time and time again. Players. Oh, I know I lost my thought. Oh no, you have a good point.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'll just steal your point this time.
Yeah, just steal it. Go ahead.
Yeah, 8th place going into 1st place. I think it's going to happen. As the IE Last Whisper on the Ezreal, it's actually super interesting how weak these boards are right now, because a player literally didn't take any units for a bunch of the early round. We can kind of say it was open-forted. Yeah. But the fact that these comps coming into 4-1, still rocking a lot of tier 1, like 2-cost units, right? This is almost all tier 1 units on the high end, right? Arat now, this is the turn though. Another double Archangels build onto the Orianna, so something that he definitely likes building, and the Socialite Hex is in a much better place this time.
Glass Cannon Orianna build that is going to be very feast or famine. It's kind of similar to that positioning. That one round where we saw Seraphine Jhin just get wiped by assassins because the Socialite Hex is in the 3rd row instead of 4th row. So there's a lot less protection there. A bit risky. Hopefully it ends up working out for a rat. I did remember my point though. My point was that, going back to Tri-Fury, time and time again we've seen an HP lead in for win streaking the whole game just get you a top 4 based off of that war of attrition and being able to just preserve HP as a resource so effectively, towards even if you need to int a little bit of HP in the late game, it's already worth it, right? You've already built that lead. Totally. So Tri-Fury kind of falling into that category right now. It's not always a guarantee that you can get a good placement, but certainly makes it a lot easier.
42 HP ahead of 4th place right now. And still could probably win. That's a pretty strong comp on that board. Also, Rat doing some pretty good work with 4 tiers in terms of those items. Like, it's not as bad as 4 tiers used to be.
Yeah, true.
But it's still not the best. 4 components of any items that aren't crit clubs, I think, is going to be frustrating. But we'll see. I mean, we get a lot of casting here, but not a ton of damage when it comes to those tiers, unfortunately.
Oh, takes out an extra unit. Not bad. I thought that fight would be a lot worse of a loss there for a rat. But, Assassins, Shaco farming this comp. 4-2, we go in. We have 15 gold to roll with, Boop. Is Rat going to find what he needs in just that little bit of gold? Finds Heimer upgrade, finds the Yumi. Not the worst.
Yumi's going to fit in here, but we're going to lock?
Probably just get rid of some Yordles, I would imagine.
We're definitely thinking. There we go.
Oh, can't Actually buy the Yumi. Okay, sells the Tarek. Maybe a
We
slight miscalc of gold there.
It's okay. A Tarek 1
Yeah, that's fine. We're fine.
is fine. We'll still get 1 heal off, probably. The Lissandra actually gets a whole ult off there, and the 2 ults at tier 1, which is something you don't see every day. Now this Innovator comp is starting to fall off, and fall off really hard. But I do see a Galio on the bench along with a Scion, so
and
that
the
Innovator comp's not going to be an Innovator comp for long. And we have some good items for some attack damage. So is it going to be the Jhin in the back line, or is it going to be a Clapio?
Clapio, let's go. Clapio actually performed surprisingly well in the recent Challenger series.
They should just let us have it.
I know. They try to
just
nerf
let us
Clapio
have it
so much, try to bring him down.
Yeah, it's like Wide Killjoy in Valorant, right?
I know.
Like, just let us have Wide Killjoy, right?
Why must you destroy our happiness?
Exactly. That's why we will never be hired as Riot devs.
Damn, did we just lose our opportunity?
Yeah, exactly. That's, it's going to go on our permanent record.
Yeah, they're noting it down. It's on our file. Damn.
Now we've got tons of tiers on the board. A lot of CC as well. Shaco in the back line, slowly but surely getting some of that HP back, but it's going to be that glass cannon. Orianna bringing the dub here. It always feels like it's losing at first, and then we get those ultimates, and all that healing comes through.
Yep.
And our glass cannons become off tanks because of it.
This is a cash out here, I believe, from Lumi Kev. Yes, it is going to be 6 HP. That's all you need. Bow grabbed from Carousel. The biggest question is going to be, what can Lumi Kev do during this round to stabilize the board? There's a Yone 2, there's a Fiora 2, but these units need to come out, right? The Misfortune needs to get out of there. The Alawi probably. The Mundo 1, I don't really know. If you find some Brahms, you can then replace these with Bodyguard Frontline. A lot of things need to happen in a short amount of time, and oftentimes it is never the ideal phase for preparation.
Everyone is like, oh, Merc pops. I get so stressed. Oh, Thieves Clubs, that's nice.
What do we get?
Oh, okay, a lot of gold. So we got up to 50 gold, and we have 6 HP.
Levels up to 8.
Okay.
Plays a third bruiser. Is that, are we done? Okay, no, we're not done. Not quite done. I was gonna say, that was a lot simpler than I thought it would be, actually, but
I mean, when everything's money, right, in units, it could be the case. I actually think a Mundo popped out of one of those.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken, and we could have had a Mundo too. I think we sold it really quickly.
Oh, right? I just saw the Mundo that popped out of it. I didn't see a third Mundo unless I passed it.
I could have. There are a couple purple units. It could have been a Braum. My mind registered it as something. But we're gonna win out here. Ascension weak spot making us nervous. I think. Is this going to be a gold augment? We almost didn't make it.
Yeah, I know. Next round, though, it is the augment phase, so Lumi Kev will have a lot more time to make improvements to the board. Not much gold to roll with. Most of the gold was used to level up. And we get a gold one, as you were predicting. We can get Challenger Emblem, Tome, or Knife's Edge. And Knife's Edge is really good. There was also a fully Clapio 2, like fully built Clapio 2 online. I think that was Tri-Fury's board.
I love it. I love it.
It's gonna go first. It's gonna go
I'm
first.
I'm gonna connect you and Last Cardax together. Don't worry, guys. So at some point. But yeah, Kuzma is going to get a big lead now. As much as Tri-Fury had over 4th place at one point, which was I think 40 HP. Now it's almost the same for Kuzma against the rest of the lobby. Lumi could be in a better position, right? This is literally the first Yone that we've seen. We've got Challenger 5. We're gonna get Challenger 6 now, so hopefully we don't get hit up against a Bramble or something. But we've got Clapio, which is, I love Clapio. It's such a fun, silly thing to see.
I
Totally
know.
deserves its spot in the game.
That's
We have a
great.
scrap comp now, going from Kuzma. Get some free items there. Binary airdrop seems to be the case. Death Blades for some of our units. It's going to be Fiora and the Challengers. Not a lot of tankiness when it comes to Challengers. It's really kind of Fiora's healing that is the tankiness there. This is going to be close.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was about to go to that matchup saying that should be an easy win for Lumikev's spot, but it was nothing like that. It was super, super close. Kuzma was still level 8, 40 gold, maybe 50. I didn't see if he sold to 50 at the end there. But was running like Trundle carry and like Lissandra item carrier as well. So the fact that that was that close, I'm worried for Kev going into stage 5.
I am too.
This is Clapio on level 7. Clapio 2.
I love it. This is great. This is good TFT here. This is some fourth lobby shenaniganery if I've ever seen it. More tiers. At this point, I don't think there are going to be any more tiers that can be given out based on the rest of the lobby, because a rat already had 4 of them. So we get a shroud, another great item for this comp. Jin 2 online. All right, we've got the Braum. We're starting to get our synergies going, and we're definitely going to be getting some enchanters here, specifically the Oriana.
There we go.
We get it. We literally hit everything except for the Braum 2, which could still come. I would stop rolling at this point. I don't think we need to. We're probably going to win out until Carousel.
Yeah.
This is a when you call it a beefy comp, this is a beefy comp.
This board should be able to go 9. The only thing, I think to consider changing here is putting the Galio into the Socialite Hex, but it's not like he needs the healing, right? The BT is there, and I think it may be enough. This is not perfect build Galio by any means. He's attacking rather slow. There's no Rage Blade, so he can really scale up, but he's still, he's Clapio. But Fiora, a great counter. Oh, she gets taken out.
Oh, the Bloodthirster not doing that much.
No. He attacks so slow.
If we get that Jin online, though, it's going to be a lot easier. We also have the Colossus buff, where he's going to be invincible for 2 seconds.
Colossus plating, yeah, when you get down to 66 and 33% HP, around there, 60 or 30, yeah.
And so that's why maybe no Rage Blade's okay. I think the goal was to develop more health through those auto attacks, because how many times have you seen Clapio 1v4 after an ult because they just haven't hit the ground yet?
Yeah.
And so we have the Academy spat now, and we got to see the Seraphine Academy, like you said, that was probably pretty good, as Kuzma, Tri-Fury, Rat, and Basu round out that top 4. We're going to get to see that Clapio once again, but would have to say the things that have really shown up today have been the Seraphine kind of heal shield comp with the Oriana and Fiora.
Yeah, I think Seraphine MVP of the day. It seems Fiora not too far behind. Can Clapio make his way there though? I mean, can he win this round?
I think he can. Because I don't know if the Colossus plating actually went through.
I think he still has one more Colossus plating.
Yeah, overtime and Gap Clapio is almost impossible to win against.
That's strong.
Free Rage Blade. Free fully stacked Rage Blade once you get there.
No, it's so good. Getting overtime, Clapio does what he has been foretold to do, which is clap. IC does go out in 7th. IC was tied for 2nd coming into this game. So his spot in the top 3 is definitely not guaranteed, not even top 4, as so many people were close behind.
IC is probably going to... Man, I'd be sweating it out at this point.
Yeah,
having
out of your
watch
hands
is so hard in this situation, right?
I know.
So, because, at this point, like you said, the fate is out of your hands. You're depending on other people to get the results that you specifically need. As look at all of the CC. Is this a trampoline park or is this the convergence? But we do already have a Shaco 3, a 3rd one in a row for Common Quail. No one contesting. This reminds me of Jose Paulo getting to play Nocturne 3 for like 11 weeks in a row before someone tried to steal it from him.
Yeah.
But with the CC,
Seraphine,
it's our MVP.
One more ult, Seraphine? Oh, she doesn't get there, Boop. She doesn't get there.
Oh, man,
wow.
She choked. She choked right at the finish line.
I know, so close. Let me Kev out in 6th. A Rat actually going out in 5th. Oh, this is spicy. Rat, another one of the players that was tied for 21 points. So Rat is going to be placing better than Icy, of course. But is it enough for the top 3? Again, a situation fades out of your hands.
Yeah, I think the only one that can feel pretty confident right now is Quail. So, especially with the Shaco 3 online, Quail's probably the only one that I can specifically say I'm confident is in the top 3. Other than that, it's really anyone's game. I'm not even sure Quail might win, but that's still not, I think, locked in just yet. We do have one of our bottom 2 reaching the top 4. It is going to be Tri-Fury doing that 4th lobby, right? Josh Groban raising himself up. And let's see how far he's going to be able to go, because Clapio can beat most comps, right? It just really depends on when those ults come through. If we get to overtime, if the rest of the lobby is able to get those damage in. And it looks like this Galio having a much easier time with this comp than some of the other ones.
Yeah, it does come down to the Shaco and how much he's going to be able to do. Can Clapio start targeting him soon? Colossus plating, doing a big thing here. But I don't know if it's going to be enough.
No, maybe to take a couple more units down. Yeah, we got one extra unit, but that Shaco was enough. And, outside of the memes, right, Galio is... If you're thinking psychologically, the reason why that Galio comp is so fun to watch is because it always comes down to the last second, right? So it's always sitting on the edge. And so just really good viewing in terms of just TFT there. As Bodyguard Tarek in the backline with that blue buff. Not my favorite, actually. I think the heal comes way too early at the beginning. When you put the
really? Insta heal as soon as someone drops a little bit of HP? I don't think I've seen blue buff Tarek, actually, but he should insta heal, right?
Mm-hmm.
And not get... I mean, he'll provide a shield, I suppose, if you overheal. So it's not like...
But, min-maxing, right? It's
I mean, for sure. Yep, heal goes off right there. Not great value.
So he has to build up a totally other heal. That's the best Braum ult I've seen today. Hit literally everybody on the field. They have not the way that this is going. If you saw the death recap on Summoner's Rift, the CC timer would be the same as the death count timer there. But the Shaco is not guaranteed to win here with this Urgot. Oh,
that's to the ult.
If it wasn't Shield Gauntlet.
Slippery Shaco doing Shaco things.
Oh,
Clapio. Yes. Taking out Bosso skills.
Third place at least.
Proud of you, Tri-Fury.
Yeah. You're the person I want in the audience, right? The person playing Clapio. Make my performance better. Archangel's great item for the secondary carry here, which is that Orianna.
Orianna will have 3 very strong items. All this time, Tri-Fury has saved up gold, so they will be able to push to level 9. Maybe even at that point, find a Seraphine, throw that in there, and give Orianna this 3 socialite buff. That could be lobby winning, I would say. Hey, might as well just find a Braum 2 along the way, have enough gold to level up, put a Yuumi in. Never disappointed with that one. Ooh,
yeah,
I mean, yeah, you can get away with it. I actually like this.
Yeah, I mean, you can greed twice, probably. And because we're not losing by 7 units against Quail, right? And I think we've beaten Kuzma, so any and everything can happen at this point. But I just definitely want to go back to the fact that this Galio has not been in the Socialite Hex one time. So we'll see if that's going to, mean a difference. It's a good amount of base damage, right? But I have seen Galio's ult sometimes too much in that situation, and it takes away some DPS. I don't think he's purposely trying to avoid that, but I think that base damage would be a big difference, because it doesn't seem like we're losing by a lot when we're losing.
It would also free up the Orianna to not have to be there, and because Orianna was not Socialite Hex, she got taken out by a Shaco very quickly, right? Telegraph positioning, Assassins, easy to counter that.
Yep, we lost by 3 units again, so that's a prediction. That's actually pretty good. So now we can upgrade for our next round.
Here we go. Level 9, 20 gold left. Finds the Seraphine on the first roll, and Clapio moves into the Socialite Hex. Now we see it, Boop. It's time.
Oh man, this is where I wish I could just hope a Galio 3 onto the board, just to see it.
Galio 3,
just to see it.
Isn't the stun timing on Galio 3 insane?
Yeah, I think it might be like 9 or 10 seconds or something
Oh
like
my
that.
god.
All right, this is a very, very winnable round. Tom Kench countered by Colossi in general. Oh my goodness. Oh my
Well,
goodness. No attacking right now for Kuzma. No attacking allowed, as the Jin now even going to get in on some of the action. This is the easiest Clapio round we've seen since we've seen the Clapio. So far, I don't really see a world where Clapio loses this round. And
oh,
Quail
Colin
lost. So
Quail's, wait, is the game just
yeah,
over? Is
so
Kuzma take
Quail.
enough?
Oh my god, he
Oh,
won!
he does it! Tri-Fury, the double kill. Game ends on 6-2. And Tri-Fury B goes from 888 all the way to first off the back of the Clapio. What a way to end it.
Oh, thrilling. Absolutely thrilling. That's why, like, sometimes, what the, order is going to be, and sometimes you get whatever that was. With the Clapio, baiting the rest of the lobby into some is false confidence by never putting it into the socialite hacks. Quail dies to Kuzma's ghost, and then you completely destroy Kuzma in the 1v1.
Crazy.
Wow, that was awesome to see. All I ever do when I see someone play Clapio is want to play Clapio myself. Still good. Again, just let us have it. Just let us have it. Stop nerfing it.
It's like, it's so weird because like it's so hard to get into Clapio. You can't like go to a game and be like, okay, I'm gonna play Clapio this game and have it work out, right? Like that doesn't usually happen. But when you do hit that Clapio and you have the items for it, get into it, and like that position that Tri-Fury B had, it just looked absolutely perfect. It won't be enough to climb into the top 4, but speaking of, let's see who did manage to make their way there. It was a common Quail, top 4ing every single game, ends the night in first with 31 points. Congrats to Common Quail. Looks like a Rat will be coming back for a 7th week. Does win the tiebreaker, it looks like, as well, versus Kuzma to get 2nd. Kuzma in 3rd, and Icy in 4th to round out the money. Oh man, Icy, it was 4th game. It came down to things outside of his control after he got 7th, but at least made some money. But yeah, top 3, not quite there.
Yeah, but top 4 would have been enough, most likely. But really great showing there. Everyone kind of had the opportunity to shine today. You've got Icy kind of placing the highest out of our new lobby. We had the Innovator 7 from Lumi. We got that Clapio from Tri-Fury. We've got we got really good consistency for Basso, who probably top 4 is in another lobby. For example. So everyone being able to show up and show something to us today, regardless of positioning on that leaderboard, except for 8th place Denish. But yeah, we're going to get to talk to Common Quail. Always a good interviewer, by the way. So I'm pretty excited about this one.
Yeah, definitely nice to see the perspective and maybe get some understanding of, what's all about this Shaco. And I think we do have him with us. Common Quail, congratulations on winning Fight Night. How are you feeling right now?
Thank you. I'm feeling like Shaco is a pretty good champion.
Yeah, so I just want to get on into it. Why do you think Shaco is a good champion? Were you planning on coming to Fight Night and forcing Shaco, or kind of, just what's your read right now on that whole situation?
Okay, so I've kind of been grinding the ladder, preparing for Zon Cup, and I was like, okay, it clicked. I'm going to turbo climb. And then I did not turbo climb. I just kept getting wrecked by Shaco. So I was like, you know what? If you can't beat him, join him. So then I'm like, Shaco, pretty good, like, top 4 comp. And then so the first game, I just ended up playing it. And then I noticed that no one else was playing it. Also, one game, like, people were pivoting out of Shaco. And where like, they clearly probably could have just stayed in Shaco, but they weren't comfortable with it. So I was just like, okay, well, if it's uncontested, and I'm the only one, like, playing it, then I'll just go for it. So, yeah.
Why do you think people, came out of it? Is it just a read maybe that they missed? Maybe they're not assassin players, because assassin type comps seem to gravitate towards certain people. Do you think that was the case, or is it just you were taking all the Shagos and they kind of just gave them to you?
Yeah, I don't really know. But basically, whatever you like, you see these Shakos and they're just like, they just like kill your backline, and even if you like lose the fight, you're usually gonna get a few kills. So you save so much HP playing Shaco. It's just like, I don't know. For me, it was like playing around top 4 was my play style for this tournament.
Yeah, Syndicate 7's playing for top 4 for sure. But I just wanted to talk about your prep for Zon Cup because you just talked about it.
Yeah.
You're doing the Shaco thing, the ladder apparently. You gave a little of the LP to the Shaco.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about it so far? Do you have some secret strategies that you're going to reveal that day? How confident are you going into that tournament?
Not very confident, but there's a few days. There's a few days left, like before like snapshot. Like because right now I'm not even like in the snapshot because I lost a bunch of LP. But I think it's slowly clicking. It's re-clicking. So I don't know because you watch these like top ladder players like Soju and stuff. He hit rank 1, and I'm like, oh, that doesn't look that hard. And then you try it. You try it
Classic,
yourself, and
right?
you're like, wait, it's kind of hard. So
Yeah. It's like when you see like models wear clothes and you buy those clothes and you're like, it doesn't look the same.
exactly.
I don't
So
look like you. Yeah,
it's
that's
been
it
tough,
for me,
but
man.
it's a work in progress.
Yeah, congratulations. That was a pretty sweet lobby, and I love seeing people pick a direction and go. You got that prismatic buff with the double syndicate, and it was kind of like we kind of know how this is going. But for the rest of it, it was super cool to see. Crowan, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to give you the floor for any shout outs if you have any, maybe preparation towards the Zon Cup, hopefully, you do well, qualify for it, do well, get to mid set. That's what all TFT players right now competitively are looking forward to, but it's a tough environment. So, yeah, the floor is yours before we send you off.
Yeah, guys, twitch.tv/acommon_quail. I stream every night. I'm preparing for Zon Cup right now, so if you want to see me try out some cool comps and also run it down sometimes and hopefully gain some LP, then yeah, tune in.
All right, great stuff. Hopefully get some more support over there on Twitch stream, and good luck in your prep as well, and hopefully do see you at Zon Cup.
Thank you.
All right, Boop, there we have it, a common quail. And like you mentioned, always nice interviews, nice perspective. I love like the realness, like, you know what? He came out here and been like, I was gonna, it clicked. I went to ladder. It did not click. I got farmed by Shaco. Like, that's
Am I confident for Zon Cup?
That's
no.
so funny. But
Yeah.
I know. It's just like, I think that happened to us all, right? You're like, oh yeah, it clicked. And you go on ladder, and you're like, I'm gonna climb so much, and then it's just like, what's going wrong? Why am I 8 Like,
I've literally been in bed and been like, I think I have this, and like on a weekend, and you're like, I'm gonna grind all day today on Saturday.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hit Masters today, and then you play and you 8th place your first lobby, right? And you're like, what is happening? But you just gotta play through it, right? That's why it, as esports, really takes off. I think like sports psychology is gonna be like a huge deal in our space at some point, but as the common quail, says, and everyone else comes in, if you don't lose LP before playing Fight Night, you're probably not going to win. Every time, man. It really feels like it, right?
Yeah.
I lost a bunch of LP and I came in here pretty relaxed and I won, right? It just, at some point, there's some truth to it, right? It just happens so much. It's more of, I think, a mindset thing than like losing LP, that you're coming in, you're feeling a little free, you already got your losses out of the way, and you're coming in and ready to play, and the results speak for themselves.
Yeah, they really do. In results, you get the first Intel P. I mean, that's come in my perspective as well. Ladder is just a sacrifice to do well in tournaments. That's just how it is. And it worked out for Common Quail too. But that'll do it for us. Do you have any, final words, anything you want to say before we close on out here, Boop?
And I had so much fun today. That was actually a super funny lobby just in general. When it came to that last lobby, chat was popping off. Like, it was so fun to come back and have that be the TFT that we got to cast, because that's kind of like what's funny about Fight Night is you do get to see some of these off meta things. You get to see them find success, right? And Tri-Fury said it. I'm going to win this last lobby. I'm going to play Clapio. And that's exactly what happened. Outside the side of it, if everyone on PC hovers over the screen that we're on, everyone's Twitch will be there. You can follow them from there. Crowan and I are there as well. And of course, let's go ahead and thank everyone behind the camera as well. Kathy, our producer, Yenwei, who got to sub in for Danish there on the last end, who's observing and telling us a ton of information on the back end. Thank you everyone at Giant Slayer as well. Welcome back, everyone.
Yeah, well said, Boop. There you have it. I mean, that's going to be it for us until next week here on Fight Night Rising, brought to you by Wisdom. Take care and have a good night.